083 95 884. PD Bathrooms and Tiles, where excellence meets value. Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana, F93H10F.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Walk the line with the award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns, live at the Strual Arts Centre Omagh on Saturday 8th of March. Limited tickets on sale at the box office. That's Cash Returns at the Strual Arts Centre Omagh on Saturday 8th of March.
The Naughty Alarm Clock. The Naughty Alarm Clock. Highland Radio.
Thanks for your company and the crack this morning. We're going live now to Greg Hughes, who's out and about. Daddy, where are you this morning?
1 2 1 2. What are my levels like?
What? Oh, you're beautiful. You
Perfect.
sound like a professional. You sound like good, Daddy.
We are live from the Mount Errigal Hotel here in Letterkenny. It's part of Local Enterprise Week, and for the most part, it's business as usual. We've got a brilliant Friday panel, which we're going to be chatting to after 9, but loads of guests after that talking about this event. Lee, you like business, you should come down between 12 and 3. There is a business summit event. You can register now, and then between 4 and 7 there's a showcase event. You could come down and showcase your stuff, maybe, if you have stuff.
Well, I have to say, Greg, you're showcasing that lovely white shirt of yours today. How come I knew it
How
was
do you
white?
know? Oh, yeah, I might have been on social media. Was I doing a video?
No. And then I see that I can. Let me think. What colour iron? You have a blue iron as well.
Right. Okay. I don't know how you know this information.
And let me see. You see the what do you got? The
I'm
board?
starting to realise now that this might have been a very rare event posted to social media. Was it?
It's grey. Do you know your thing? And then you have you have a cold bucket that says King on it. This is K-I-N.
I don't know. I don't know, Lee. I don't know.
And you have loads of logs stacked around that
All
stove.
right, I know what's going on now. You should stop creeping around my social media, Lee.
No, I was around your house last night, seeing who was ironing your shirt for today.
Better still, okay. Any plans for the weekend, Lee? I'm moving on now.
All right, I see that. You know what? It's time for news, Danny. Come on and get on.
All right,
with it.
come here. We'll chat to you in studio on Monday morning, indeed. Lee, thanks very much indeed, and do have a great weekend. Yes, indeed, it is the 9 Til Noon Show, and we are live from the Mount Errigal Hotel here in Letterkenny, and we have a fantastic busy 3 hours on the way. But at 9 o'clock, let's take a news update, and I believe it's over to Donald Kavanagh.
Certainly is, Greg. Thank you. Good morning. The 11-year-old girl who died after being hit by a car in Castledawson, County Derry on Wednesday afternoon has been named by her school as Caitlin Rose McMullen. She was a pupil at St Pius 10th College in Maherafelt. The collision happened just after she got off a school bus on the Hillhead Road. The chair of the Micah Action Group is calling for measures to be put in place to address a number of serious issues with the defective block redress scheme. Lisa Hone told a meeting of Donegal County Council's Defective Blocks Committee that a number of people who were early starters now face being potentially denied their final payments because they missed deadlines, which are extremely tight. That, she said, is despite the fact that the then Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien pledged that early starters wouldn't be penalised. Ms Hone said these are the people who broke barriers and encountered all the initial problems and delays.
There has to be some flexibility there. These are the people who went first. They're breaking down all the barriers. They've got all the issues, all the teething problems. We've had a lot of delays from the council in times gone by. I know that things have improved now, but these are the people that kind of went through that really tough process. So there has to be understanding, and it is something that needs to be sorted out urgently because we are potentially talking about tens of thousands of euros that are owed to people. It is absolutely inconceivable that these people should not get these payments, and it is something that has to be addressed urgently at national level.
Much more from Lisa Hone on our website, highlandradio.com. Letterkenny Chamber says it will hold formal quarterly meetings with members of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District and will also increase its contact with Donegal County Council as a whole. Newly elected President Jimmy Stafford, who began his second stint in the job this week, says when it comes to lobbying, Chamber members and councillors can achieve more if they work together.
We have a great working relationship with all the councillors locally and at a county level as well, and that's key. And we've started meetings with them on a regular basis. We obviously meet the municipal group, but we formalise those meetings into a quarterly basis this year to sit down, because I think it's important, Donald, we're all singing off the same hymn sheet. So, you know, you have different lobby groups out there, but we all come together as one voice. That's more powerful than individuals going off. So that's going to be really important for us this year in 2025.
A new plan to increase spending on military defence has been agreed by EU leaders. The Taoiseach travelled to Brussels yesterday for the emergency summit, which was also attended by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Member states will also be able to access a €150 billion fund to help boost defence capabilities. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, says the increased investment sends a strong message to the international community.
Europe is facing a clear and present danger, and this is why I presented the Rearm Europe plan today to the leaders, a plan to give Europe the military capability that it needs to face today's threats. It could mobilise up to €800 billion, and it is about taking more responsible on our shoulders for our own security because the urgency is real.
Weather forecast mostly cloudy with light outbreaks of rain this morning. Showery rain will develop in the afternoon and into the evening. Top temperatures today 10 to 13 degrees Celsius in light to moderate east to south east breezes. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock. Check all the latest news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
Switching to an Energia Smart plan really could mean lower energy bills for future you. Not only will you save up to 33%, but you'll also get energy insights to help you manage your usage and make smarter energy choices. Something future you will always thank you for. Switch now at energia.ie or call us on 0818 300 701. And remember, you'll always get the best deals when you come to us direct. Energia. Think of the possibilities. Energia Smart Data Plan. EAB €1,166. Standing charge PSO levy apply. Savings based on standard electricity unit rates. Full details including associated terms and conditions at energia.ie.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 Til Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Yes, indeed. Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the 9 Til Noon Show. It's 4 minutes past 9 on this Friday, the 7th of March, and we are broadcasting today live from the Mount Errigal Hotel in Letterkenny, and it's part of Local Enterprise Week. Coming up here today from 12 noon, they've got the Made in Donegal Business Summit event. That's open to the public. You can book tickets still, I believe, to attend from 12 till 3. And then there's an open free event for everyone. It's a showcase event from 4 to 7 p.m. But what does all that mean? Well, stay tuned over the next 3 hours and we'll certainly keep you apprised of that. But we also are continuing with our regular, very popular features, in fact, and we're going to be kicking off with the Friday panel very shortly. I just want to remind you that we are very keen to have your views throughout the course of the next hour. You can WhatsApp and text as normal, 086 60 25,000. You can give us a call on 07491 25,000 or email comments at highlandradio.com. We've a bit of a blend of guests today. Joining us from Dublin is Senator Eileen Flynn. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me on the show this morning.
It's great to have you with us. How are you keeping?
Good, yeah, good. Just all a bit messy in the Oireachtas at the moment, not having committees, because committees are very effective, and it's unfortunate that the Oireachtas can't get on with its business.
Yeah, well, we might touch on that a little later on. In our studio with us here, we have Katie Tyrrell McCafferty. Good morning to you, Katie. Thank you so very much indeed. Community campaigner, people would know, of course. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg.
And we also have Mary Hart, who's a broadcaster and journalist. Mary, good morning.
Good morning, Greg.
I'll start with you, Mary, if that's okay. Just listening to the news there from Donal and the kind of language and rhetoric that we're hearing, or maybe it's not rhetoric, but the kind of language we're hearing from the likes of, Ursula von der Leyen, the French leader, Canada, China, Russia, Keir Starmer. There's an awful lot of chat going on at the moment, and there's a big dynamic change happening right around the world, it would seem.
Absolutely. I'm a graduate of politics from many years ago, and I could never in a million years, nor I'm sure any of my colleagues or those in academic spheres analysing political movements could never ever have predicted this in our lifetime. I think we can't mince our words. We're looking at a tyrant in America who, and the capitalist state at its very worst. All that Donald Trump is interested in is making money, and if you haven't an ability to make money, then you're not worth being bothered about. In terms of the concerns about global warfare, if that's the right word to use, because the potential is seriously there. Europe has come through, let's not forget, Europe has come through fascism, has come through 2 world wars, and in living memory. So Europe is very, very well aware of the threats that are on its doorstep. And the leaders of the European states within the European Union, and including Britain, are not taking lightly the threat that's on their doorstep. It baffles belief that Russia has suddenly become the friend of America, or at least the friend of Donald Trump and his cohorts. And I think it's very, very important that Europe sends out a very clear message. Look, we have a threat. We have lots of Polish people working in Ireland, lots of great friends, lots of great people. We all know Polish people. Poland is possibly the next state,
what makes you say that, though? Why would Poland be next? I mean, he hasn't done very well in Ukraine. He's they're spending 10% of their budget in Russia on war. As we speak right now, the Ukrainians are making gains and Russia's having to retreat. Why is he being painted, or why is Russia, being painted as this nation that could take Europe over when they can't successfully take Ukraine?
Well, they can't successfully take Ukraine because America and Europe have been helping Ukraine to defend its borders, but it has taken over Crimea in 2014. And that, Russia is an aggressive nation. The Soviets, let's not forget what the Soviet states were like, and I was in them in Berlin and East Berlin back in the 70s, and it was a fearsome place, and it was dominated by army and KGB and fear. And that is what Russia is now. Bear in mind, people in Russia don't know really what's going on at the moment because the media is controlled. You don't know what Vladimir Putin's notions of stepping in around Europe.
No, we don't, and that's exactly my point, that we don't. We are told what they are.
Well, you can go on the past, put it like that.
Okay.
You can go on the past.
But over the last wee while, and I'm sort of trying to play devil's advocate here because there might be a sense of agreement around the table, right?
Yeah.
Over the past, Europe and NATO has inched ever closer to Russia's border. That is a demonstrable fact. So you could argue that in recent years, notwithstanding what happened in Crimea, that it is actually, NATO, aka Europe and its allies, that is edging its way towards Russia. And what the Russians have done is simply say that, we're not going to be pushed over here.
No. Actually, Europe hasn't edged its way into Ukraine into Russia.
NATO membership has, though.
What you've seen is the breakdown and the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the independent states emerging out of that. And that's you're looking at the 1990 and thereabouts. So you are looking at nations that have finally declared themselves independent and great states. And I was in Slovenia last September. Wonderful place to go to. I'd never been to, knew nothing about it. Wonderful people, very European, which is what we are. And no matter what way you look at it, you've got to look at. You don't know enough about the ex-Soviet Union, so to speak, but Russia en masse has been seen as an aggressive nation.
Okay, I get you. What's your view on this, Eileen?
I'm very concerned, just like the rest of our group, the civil engagement group, and for the last 2 weeks we've been highlighting, Greg, the danger of removing the triple lock for this country, and the fears out there, the real fears that's in communities, that communities are facing with not understanding where Ireland is and our neutrality, really, because people automatically make assumptions that we're a neutral country. There's nowhere in our legislation, there's nowhere in anywhere that says that we are a neutral country, and for the government to just remove the treble lock without consultation with the people, without listening to the opposition, is an absolute, is feeding in to what's going on with the manpower around the world.
Just in relation to that, Eileen, if you don't mind, we did hear from Minister of State at the Department of Foreign Affairs yesterday, Minister Neil Richmond, and he said Ireland's not neutral. And he said the mandate is that a review of the triple lock was part of his party's mandate. The people voted to put them back into power. They have the mandate to do this, and they don't need a referendum to do it. He seems to be emboldened by his party and Fianna Fáil's party performance in the election, and it was in their manifesto. The people voted for this, effectively, is what he said.
I don't believe the people did vote for this. I think the people, and in this country, many people I've spoken to are very, very scared at the minute. Again, it's understanding neutrality where we are. Like, of course, the majority of Ireland stands with Ukraine, and what happened in the White House was a shame. And in my opinion, it's a madman that has control of a nuclear button right in front of him, and he's using that to his power. But on a more home level, Greg, I think there's a big conversation to be had. I think the people, it should go to the people. It should be a referenda around even the treble lock. People are very scared, as I just said. But again, like, it's men, and no disrespect to Minister Richmond, is like, again, it's false information to the people. As soon as we remove that treble lock, or it impacts on our neutrality, and the involved, like, Russia is no threat to us at the moment. But if we were to remove the treble lock or to join NATO, well, then Russia would be a threat to us.
Okay, and we are going to be, and have been, as Eileen went into it, the triple lock conversation, because the two of them are pretty much intertwined. Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, what is your view, I suppose, on the re-establishment or the redrawing of the world order, so to speak, and also to our triple lock? And I'll come back to you, Mary, on the triple lock as well.
The triple lock has to stay, and I don't think that. Listen, I'm not saying people don't take elections very seriously, but most people don't read manifestos, right? And when was the treble lock ever a talking point during the election campaign?
I don't recall it being one.
No, so therefore, Eileen is absolutely correct that that should not be on the agenda. The government should not be able to change that without consultation of the people, because at the end of the day, it will be mainly working class young men that have to pay for this. Do you know what I mean?
We'll talk just in relation to because I think we kind of by accident, not design. It seems to be there's an agreement on Donald Trump here, because I saw you nodding as Mary was speaking, and Eileen's made her comments as well. Prior to his election, we were looking at an endless war, effectively. And even last week, Volodymyr Zelensky said the end of this war is very, very, very far away. That's what he said. And we're talking about our children, right? But what about the Russian children and the Ukrainian children? Thousands of them dying every week. Over 1 million, it's estimated, have died so far. Do you not welcome Donald Trump's intervention in any way, that now we have the Ukrainians heading to the Middle East next week to talk a quick and lasting peace? Or are you just that your default position is Donald Trump is all bad?
Yeah, well, I don't have any trust in Donald Trump whatsoever. I think mistakes were made. I think when the Russians were on the back foot, that's when Zelensky, in about 2023, was it? I think maybe he should have gone in and negotiated. But there are also millions of people dying in another part of the world at the moment, which, funny enough, there's a different conversation about how we come to peace in that part of the world.
Well, presume you're not talking about Yemen. There's people dying all over the world. You're probably on about Palestine, aren't you?
I'm not Palestine, yeah, but Yemen is also a massive problem. So that's what I'm saying is, but
he's also, I know that you've got these ridiculous AI videos and this threat of wiping the place out, but Donald Trump also, and again, I have to play devil's advocate here, else we'd all just be nodding at each other.
I agree.
He is the only one that seems to be actually driving at peace in that area. You know what I mean?
At what cost, though, to ordinary Palestinians?
Yeah, but we have to be careful as observers that it's at no cost to us.
Yes, of course, we don't want anything else. But as a human being, and as someone who, I'm not a pacifist, because I could see definitely a need for World War II, right, or the Spanish Civil War. But I'm someone that believes in peace and thinks that basically a load of men normally get together and decide that they don't like each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this, American and British intervention, in most places, it's gone tits up, basically. Do you know what I mean? I mean, look at what they did. The Americans funded the Mujahideen against the Soviets, right?
Yeah.
Who then became ISIS, and then we had
But no one's copybook's clean. That unfortunately.
no one's copybook's clean. But at what cost is some of this peace that's been?
But at what cost is no peace? It's not a cost we're paying in blood.
No,
we aren't paying it, and for us to sort of say, well, Trump is wrong on this. Well, if we could be looking at another 500,000 people dead if he hadn't.
But we need to look at Trump's motivations for this. Why is Donald?
Well, it's
Trump...
obviously money and power, because that's what motivates any war. There's no secret to that.
But I don't trust the guy. I don't trust the man whatsoever.
Okay.
To me, he's an uneducated buffoon.
Okay.
Right, because you can only see that with the two statements he's made in the last 2 days.
He is also someone that is incredibly respected amongst world leaders around the world, it would seem, because
they're frightened of him,
and they say so. And at least half America, and indeed more of America, approve of him now. So they might not accept your framing of him, but that's fine. We're a long way from America. The triple lock, Mary Hart. As I said, we heard yesterday. Look, the quiet bit out loud, people say that. I don't really know what it means. But anyway, we aren't neutral. We're not a neutral country. We've never really been neutral. Listen, we facilitated Allies' flyovers during the Second World War when it suited us, right? So we can't go back to the Second World War and quote on neutrality either. We have to be honest about that. But people, seemingly the majority of people, want to vote on the triple lock. What's your view on it, Mary?
Well, as you rightly say, we've been selectively neutral, and really, go back into the history, it was De Valera's decision to determine that Ireland was neutral going into the Second World War, primarily motivated by his hatred of Britain, and he wasn't going to join forces with the enemy that he had just fought a war with himself. So the neutrality has sat there, not meaning anything much until it was challenged, and and then De Valera did say Ireland would be neutral until threatened, and that's the important aspect. Neutrality has been, as I say, selective. And my belief of the triple lock is, I just see it as a nonsense that you have to go through to the United Nations to get approval. And what's the difference? None of us knew what the triple lock was, to be quite honest. Well, none of us knew until.
But say, for instance,
a couple of years ago,
the UN,
knew
say the UN involvement in Lebanon, right? So it's a peacekeeping exercise. It's there to uphold the peace. It's quite clear. So we can go in there. And we can do that stuff as now the way they want to do it is and let's not forget now the cabinet agreed, and then the government with a healthy majority pass it. So whatever they want to do, they can do now, right? So without the UN, so now we have a situation whereby the UN don't have to be involved, that it can be a little bit more political, that it can be a little less neutral, that it can be backing our allies in inverted commas, and that is a huge step away from where. Unless we determine it with a referendum, anecdotally, it seems that the people of this country don't want to go.
Well, I do believe that the people of this country see neutrality in a big, broad sweep, and they don't actually realise how detailed it has to be. And I really honestly don't see why Ireland has to go to a talking shop in New York to find out how many people it can send off, even as a peacekeeping force. And, we are responsible on the edge of Europe to have some involvement in protecting our shores and the shores of Europe that lies to the east of us. And I cannot see that the triple lock has gone. I mean, it's only going from 12 people to 50 people.
Yeah, but
50 soldiers.
Yeah, but that's one element of it.
Well, of course it is. But, you can't drift along and think we're neutral and we sit along.
But why can't we?
Because we have got a responsibility.
Eileen,
we have a responsibility.
Eileen, you wanted to come in, please?
Well, Greg, for the first time in my life, and probably for many of your listeners, we all thought right up until 2-3 years ago we were a neutral country. Now we're hearing stuff like, oh, we were never neutral, we got involved in World War II, plane stop and the way over. I get that, and we've put bills in to make our airways more safer for the people of this country. And again, I'll put it back to your listeners. The majority of your listeners would believe that Ireland is a neutral country. If you are to interfere in the treble lock now, that's going to create a big problem for this country, and we will be no longer a neutral country. And you spoke about Donald Trump, like conflict. I've done a lot of training throughout my life and conflict resolution. And there's one thing I'll say about conflict: it can't be just one side of a story and power. It's conflict and negotiation, and the Mars has to be a give and take. It's not all about power, which Donald Trump sits in the White House and throws out big statements.
But just in relation to that, Eileen, just in relation to that, if you listen to the rhetoric from the French, for an example, their solution is that Russia is beaten back and weakened to the point that it's no longer a threat to Europe. That is not taking all sides. That is not looking for a peaceful resolution. That's fighting talk, you know, and they are speaking, in inverted commas, on behalf of us. We have to beat them back. So we send more Ukrainian young men and women, to an extent, into the meat grinder to defeat Russia to the point that we can sit on the west coast and Central Europe in comfort. So Russia has to get something out of this too.
And there's one thing about us, like, you know, we can make up our own policies. What's wrong with us as a country that we can't do that? We're too aligned with Europe. And again, I don't know if I'm with or against Europe. I haven't looked into that big debate at the moment. But, you know, we should be able to stand on our own 2 feet. And when it comes to, again, Greg, for me, it's the people. And as Kate has said earlier, the majority that will be impacted in this is ordinary working class men from minority groups will be impacted by it. And I never heard one conversation from somebody from the army and somebody who understands more around the treble lock than any of us do. So, like, you know, again, the government, I don't believe this is their expertise. They're just going with Europe as they do with everything else.
Just in relation to that, right? You know, like, is there not a position that we could adopt, Mary? And I know you wanted to come in there, and you can answer this if that's okay as well. Whereby, you know, why is Russia, the United States, and Ukraine going to Saudi Arabia to negotiate peace? Why aren't we a neutral country we can demonstrate how you can achieve peace through conversation, not in any side of this whatsoever, and we could host them here in Ireland, but we can't because we've taken such a strong anti-Russian, pro-West position. You know, we should be hosting peace talks, shouldn't we? Not talking about sending soldiers to fight with these people.
Well, the reason that they're going to Saudi Arabia is because that's where the chosen place is by the Americans, and that's where they're going to have their talks.
But you take my point,
they wouldn't come to Ireland.
Could have been us if we were neutral.
No, I don't. That's not the reason why they did. The reason why they didn't come to Ireland is nothing got to do with neutrality or not. You have got to just bear in mind that when De Valera insisted that Ireland was a neutral country, he said until attacked. You know, until threatened, until, you know. So we are threatened at the moment, whether we're threatened.
We haven't been attacked.
But we can't say, well, then, if the Russian army sat on its boats, as we saw just before they invaded
Yeah, but we're being
Ukraine,
targeted by association.
Well, you know, you can't sit on the fence forever. And we have an army. Why do we bother having an army? Put it like that. Why don't we just say we don't have an army? We don't need an army because we're never going to be threatened.
We don't really have a battle-ready army.
Well, the army would actually challenge you on that. We have boats and military weapon boats around the coastline to protect it as well.
They're tied up because we don't have a navy adequately staffed to actually run the boats.
But because we know at the back of our minds that we will be protected by the rest of Europe. And bear in mind again that Europe came through 2 world wars in the last century, and the European Union was born out of the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, and that was to try and keep peace and keep the countries to working together. not to be fighting with each other and bombing each other to bits. And, you know, we were lucky that we weren't blown to bits. The rest of Europe was blown to bits in 2 world wars.
But I wonder why we perhaps weren't.
Well, we were British in the First World War.
Yeah.
We weren't neutral in the First World War. You know, we were part of Britain. We were lucky that we weren't blown to bits, because the attitudes might have been.
Yeah, but that was not by
choice.
We're talking about things we have power over ourselves.
Well, we don't actually have power. Our government has decided.
Eileen, I'll come back to you for one last
Mary,
word on
can I
this.
just
But
ask you, just out of curiosity from myself, who's threatening us as a country? Well, because I'd love to know that answer.
We're Europe. We're part of Europe. They're not going to be threatening Ireland per se. They will be threatening Europe, and we're on the edge of Europe. We're on the Atlantic, and you know the Russian vessels were sitting in our waters under the guise of the fishermen. You know, the fishermen solved the problem. You know,
geography-wise, I get that. But as a nation ourselves, and as someone who's always been respected, Greg, around the world for being a neutral country, all this talk coming out from the government, again, it's worrying for me as a legislator. Imagine how worrying it is for your ordinary
My concern about it is that, you know, we had a situation after the Oval Office meeting where all of a sudden we have to pump 800 billion euro into an army, 100 million has to be signed off to cabinet to go to Ukraine, all this conversation. 2 days later, on social media, Zelensky goes, actually, I'm sorry how that meeting went. I want to sign the minerals deal. I want to get a resolution to this as quick as possible. And Ireland has stuck its head above the parapet, talked a load of nonsense. Those two people are going to be meeting now, and we're sort of in wilderness. And I still maintain that Micheál Martin's in for a rude awakening in the White House. Kathy Tyrrell. McClafferty. Kathy, sorry. I'm giving you double-barrel names. You don't even have them. You don't even have them, Kathy.
No, and it's Katie, by the way.
Sorry, Katie.
Greg, you should know
Stressed.
that. Anyway, no, where were we? Yeah, I agree that we've got to sit the two leaders down round the table. Why don't we ask the Ukrainian citizens what they want? You know, some of them in Ukraine.
That is the strongest call from Donald Trump. He wants an election in Ukraine, ASAP.
Right, and it's well known that during wars, people don't run elections because they've got other things to do.
Yeah.
Churchill did it, right?
Well, Zelensky won't want to do it, and you're right with martial law.
The thing is, but we need to do some fact checking here, because some people believe everything that Donald Trump tells them, right? And when Donald Trump called Zelensky a dictator because he hadn't had an election.
But he said he forgot he said that.
He said, see, that's what I'm saying, but people are running with that already on social media.
With someone like Donald Trump, you go with their actions, not the words, I think, because I don't think he knows what he's saying half the time. And I don't mean that in being senile or anything. I just think he shoots from the hip, and some of it lands and some of it doesn't. But then what I do
is I go on to... So I like a bit of TikTok, right? And I go onto TikTok and I see like loads of Americans, right, repeating the stuff that Donald Trump has said. And that's how it spreads.
It really does frustrate me, anyone who repeats and parrots anything anyone says without checking themselves.
Yes.
And I don't care where they're political.
Absolutely. Okay. I agree with you, because that's why I fact check stuff.
Yeah, and I enjoy doing that. Okay, listen, Katie, my apologies. My sorries. That goes. I had no sleep. I haven't slept in 2 days. Katie, and also Mary Hart, broadcaster and journalist. And we have joining us from Dublin as well, Senator Eileen Flynn. We'll be back with more from our guests after this break.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Say hello to the new Seat Leon. I could tell you that our iconic hatchback has never looked sportier thanks to its bold exterior and full LED headlights. Or I could wow you with its advanced technology like adaptive cruise control, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But what I really want to talk about is its power. Choose from petrol, diesel or the next generation of plug-in hybrid, offering over 100 kilometres of electric-only driving range, giving you the best of both worlds. The new Seat Leon. Visit seat.ie for our latest offers.
Your local Seat dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Give your project a lift. Apply for a community heritage grant at heritagecouncil.ie/funding. Applications close March 14th. Supported by the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
For strong, unique, weather-resistant homes, choose Cedral Exteriors. Our fibre cement roof slates and wall cladding ranges are built to last for generations, exceeding EU quality standards. Members of Guaranteed Irish, our products are locally made and beautifully designed, offering long-term peace of mind. Visit cedral.ie. Cedral Exteriors. Strength guaranteed.
Make more meals for less with Dunnes Stores, where you'll save on ingredients for a delicious one-pan salmon bake for less than €5. That's 2 succulent fresh salmon darns, just €4, roasted in the oven on a bed of 49-cent courgette, and baby rooster potatoes, just 49 cents for 1 kilo, all from the Dunnes Stores range. Plus, save at the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 9:33 and we're in the middle of a very interesting Friday panel. We have Senator Eileen Flynn, Katie Tyrrell McCafferty and Mary Hart and you. A caller says, whatever your opinion of Trump, the fact is that this new US administration is half a dozen steps ahead in the game of the world political chess. UK and EU have now increased defence spending. Ukraine will shortly sign the deal on lucrative resources, and soon Russia will become a political ally in the coming war with China in the Far East. This is the main focus for Trump. Zelensky and Europe are just inconvenient sideshows. That being said, Trump did suggest that all of the main powers, likes of him, the United States, China and Russia, that if they all equally half their spending on defence, their countries would be better off. Did someone say the media controlled... I'll have to come back to that because it's just a bit broken up. Resend that text if you don't mind. Morning, Greg. Good points, Greg, on your stance on NATO, closing in on Russian borders. There's more going on with the world leaders than we're being told. Thank you. Morning, panel. I can see another Zelensky-style Oval Office dressing down for Micheál Martin next week when he pops in with the Shamrocks. I hope he has the stones to challenge Trump rather than just bend the knee. And it's very interesting because... the way the Oval Office works now and the media side of things work now is that there's very pro-Trump people in there that fire questions up with a view, the whole Zelensky suit thing, and I'd be concerned that Micheál Martin's going in there having to defend the European position because of the way things are. Right, okay, we may come back to that, but just some other stuff. There have been a number of examples recently of people in possession of very serious child abuse, exploitation images, receiving suspended sentences. Yet this week, one individual had 3,000 images on his computer, received a suspended sentence. Then in the same week, we're seeing custodial sentences for fraud-related matters. So a lady, I think she had defrauded the state from 50 or 60,000 euro and ended up getting locked up. Now, these are what we hear about and what we see in the news. But do you have any concern, and I'll start with you, Senator Flynn, I suppose, as a legislator, do you have any concern that, as well, by the way, our prisons are literally wedged at the moment, okay? Do you have concerns of some of the suspended sentence we're seeing for the most horrific of crimes, as most right-thinking people would see, and then we see custodial sentences for other stuff that maybe outside of prison rehabilitation would be more fitting? What's your view on that?
I'm just going to go back to January of 2022, when I brought in an amendment to the Child Protection Bill, and that amendment is to not use the term child pornography because children can't consent. They're under the age of 18, and the terminology that I'm looking for in all of our reports, all of our history books, is to get rid of the term child pornography to child sexual abuse via materials. So I have that in front of the Minister for Justice at the moment, looking for a meeting. Just actually last week, we emailed Minister Jim O'Callaghan looking for a meeting with him. So that, and it's simple. It's a very simple piece of legislation, but also it's very effective as well. To say, Greg, I don't believe we should have, and I know a lot of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, the law and order parties, are talking about having more prisons. For me, it's about intervention, it's about prevention, crime on the streets. And when you talk about the serious side of crime, like child pornography, I have 2 children myself, 2 little girls, and the thoughts of any of their images being anywhere over the internet, or anyone having their images, would absolutely kill me. And I do think there should be a sentence, a rehabilitation, if at all possible.
Do you think we need a review of sentencing guidelines in that area too? Because we talked earlier on about the will of the people being respected in terms of, Ireland's neutrality, etc. I think certainly in relation to some of these crimes, because for every image that one of these people have on their computer, you can only imagine what one child had to go through.
Yes.
And I don't think that the courts aren't making that connection.
Yeah, and they should. Like, I do think our justice system, our judges need to be trained as well, if you want. And I know it might sound a bit stupid when I'm saying this, but like, judges don't have a lot of knowledge when it comes to art. Like, the traffic light offences, road traffic offences. Like, I know 2 or 3 traveller women who's in the docus because of road traffic offences. Now, we could deal with that in a different way than sending.
Well, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Incarcerating people for stuff you could be very easily rehabilitated with, and yet at the same time,
I know.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm dealing at the moment, Greg, with a young. I know of a young man at the moment who's in prison, and it was the only option for him. He wanted rehabilitation. He's a drug addict. He wanted help and support, but it's unfortunate we don't have them wraparound services for people in this country, like rehabilitation for drugs, rehabilitation for drink. That good wraparound support for people. So this young man committed a crime purposely. Now, this is what I'm hearing from him, purposely to go to prison to get the supports that he needs to come off drugs. Now, a lot of your listeners would hear me say in the Oireachtas, outside the Oireachtas, that people can be rehabilitated back into communities. We can have community services, community work for people, programs that support people. I do believe from some crimes you can turn around from, but around child pornography, I genuinely believe that they should get what's coming to them, or a sexual assault, any of those kind of serious crimes. And again, we have people in prison, Greg, for, as I would say, petty crimes that shouldn't be in prison.
Okay.
Then people become institutionalised, they reoffend,
we saw, in relation to that, we saw over 100,000 crimes committed while 40,000 people were on bail. Katie, what's your view on this? I mean, is it just sensationalising or really easy to sort of point at the differences in, custodial versus suspended sentences, or do you think there's something really genuine there that we need to be looking at?
I think that we need to be looking at really heavy custodial sentences for people that are using images of children, because a lot of people think, right, sure, it's only images, they actually didn't do anything to the child, but that child was being abused somewhere in the world or whatever, and we need to bring in tougher sentencing for rape, sexual assault, child abuse, tougher sentencing on there. And then you've, as you say, the petty crimes, TV licences,
defrauding revenue.
Right?
I'm not in any way condoning it, but how can you equate?
And it depends on someone who defrauds revenue 10 grand is very different to someone who defrauds revenue for $1 million. You know what I mean? There's varying degrees of that. And then if someone defrauds the state with benefits, let's just say, basically you've taken that money away from your own community. Therefore, do your payback in your community, like with community services and stuff like that. You know what I mean? You know, the big shame of it is when you have to face your own community. So let's look at that. But
Well, I get some people don't have shame either in being in the papers or on a website as a badge of honour. But I do take your point.
But the thing is what we need to do is keep these dangerous individuals that are. And let's be honest, there are some women that are involved in this child pornography as well. It's mainly men.
It is.
Yeah?
It's
95%.
It is 95%.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is there are some women that have facilitated that. So therefore, I don't want these people on the streets anywhere around children or vulnerable adults. You know.
Yeah. Right. Okay, Mary Hart, what's your view?
Well, we first of all, we don't have universal sentencing in Ireland, and every case is dealt with on its own, evidence, victim impact, Garda statements. The sentencing is then crafted. Proportionality is what's used in Ireland to the only crime is murder, and there's no way a judge can make any difference, so it's a life sentence for murder. Everything else is based around all of the facts, listening to the victim's impact, listening to the accused victims.
Can I just interject without being argumentative?
Yeah.
It depends on which judge you're in front of.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
no, it doesn't.
Okay.
No, it doesn't.
I won't mention any names, but it actually does.
There is a jury. There is a jury in the courtroom. There is a jury, and they decide really what happens, and the sentence then is determined. And you have got to put your faith in, and I do absolutely not agree, with Eileen and Katie that the issue here is where you put people after the sentence has been passed, and a lot of those should actually be into community service as opposed to going into a prison. Now, a day in a prison is not good. Getting 5 years in a prison is definitely not good. And I can't think of anybody who's happy to go to prison. So at the same time, you can't compare apples and oranges. Fraud and child abuse are two very different things. But
that's the whole point. You're seeing custodial sentences for one, and then you're saying particular judges that are seeing... Well,
I disagree, Greg. I absolutely
disagree. I can demonstrate it for you off air. If you wish. I don't say stuff that I can't sort of back up. And there is one particular judge that has a reputation for...
But who's given that reputation? Who has given the judge that reputation?
He himself.
He has said, I'm not very good.
No, he has consistently given non-custodial sentences for the possession of child abuse images.
You will have to then... Many of us actually sit in a courtroom when the case is actually being heard and all of the evidence in front of you and everything else. So
and listen,
you have got to look at...
And
I am not defending any judge. Far from it.
Yeah, go ahead, Senator
Can I just
Flynn?
say, Greg, and I think it's fair to say, not everybody has the right to be in front of a jury, and in many cases it is just a judge, and I know the judge you're speaking about, and I think for me, if it was a black person in front of that judge and he committed a petty crime or a fraud, how long would that person get?
No, we don't know. That's speculation. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but people will be able to read between the lines. Senator, stay right where you are if you don't mind. We are in the company of Senator Eileen Flynn. We also have Katie with us as well, and Mary, Katie Tyrrell-McClafferty and Mary Hart. And it's been really interesting so far. We have to take a commercial break. I'll tell you much more about what's coming up here shortly. Thanks for all your texts. Keep them coming through. Really invaluable to sort of get a sense of what you guys are thinking out there as well. We'll get to more of those after these.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Heading off on holiday? Don't forget to park to relax. Travelling for business? Well, then just park to work. Flying for a city break? Simply park to explore. No matter where you're going, you'll find safe, secure shuttle parking just 6 minutes from the airport at Dublin's newest airport car park, Park 2 Travel. Visit park2travel.ie now to book your space from March 10th and use the code PARK2TRAVEL now to get 15% off. Park2travel.ie. For when you need to park to, well, travel. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Restex Beds, celebrating 50 incredible years of helping you dream better, sleep deeper and wake up refreshed. For half a century, we've been your trusted partner in comfort and innovation. And now, introducing the new Glenveigh mattress, designed with cutting-edge technology for ultimate support and luxurious comfort. It's the perfect way to celebrate our golden anniversary with the best sleep of your life. Visit Restex Beds today and experience 50 years of excellence. Restex Beds. Leave the rest to us.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries. The 9 Till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Anger over states' re-wetting plans intensifies. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we look at why farmers are furious over peatland proposals. GAA seeks farmland nationwide for solar farms. Agricultural tax reliefs are back in the spotlight. Department set to clamp down on map acres. Find what price you'll need for grass cattle to break even this autumn. Latest on the ICBF Pedigree Society's row inside our special suckler focus, and why planning permission can be harder to get on land with road frontage. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
Virgin Media Broadband is smooth. How smooth, you ask? Well, imagine you're a big old walrus, and rather than lumbering around a glacier avoiding polar bears, you're on a lake, driving a speedboat. 3,000 kilos of mollusk-munching magnificence, feeling the wind in your whiskers and the sun on your big blubbery face. That's the kind of smoothness you feel with 99.9% broadband reliability. Available nationwide. Virgin Media. It's playtime.
Subject to location and availability. T's and C's apply. For broadband reliability, see virginmedia.ie/proof.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
So, mostly cloudy with light outbreaks this morning of rain, I presume. Showery rain will develop later in the evening. Temperatures today 10 up to 13 degrees in light to moderate east to southeast breezes. We're broadcasting live today from the Mount Errigal Hotel, and thanks to Terry and the team, always incredibly welcoming of us, and they look after us very well here. And also taking place here today is the Made in Donegal Business Summit event. It runs from 12 noon to 3 p.m. You can still register actually to attend that. Just go to the Leo website. And also there's an open event between 4 and 7 p.m. With a showcase of business and what have you. We've a ton of guests over the next wee while as well, so stay tuned for all of that. An estimated 400,000 people can't afford to pay their electricity bills, and there's no reductions in sight. In fact, prices are going the other way. Mary Hart, do you believe the government should roll back on its statements that no further universal supports will be given in the next budget? Would you favour targeted support for these people that need it? Do you think it's at a stage now where, we need to sort of get away from supporting people to pay, day-to-day bills? I don't know. What's your view, Mary?
Well, my first view is that our electricity is way, way too expensive for everybody. And certainly I do believe that there should be some methodology applied so that, those who cannot afford the soaring electric bills should be given some sort of support for that. It's the privatisation of electricity has been the problem, and that initially was that the ESB had control of everything, and therefore they had they had no competition. Of course, what happens with competition, the cartels, it becomes a cartel, and there's all of them have pretty much the same price. And I know that if you switch from one to the other every year, you get, but many of us actually get round to doing that. I just, and I know I'm going to throw the spanner into the works now, but I think in Ireland we have and we've experienced this from the fall down of so many power lines, and I was without electricity for one full week, and I know how bloody difficult it was. We have a terrible network and it needs to be upgraded, so the government really needs to put that in. But unfortunately, the spanner into the works is I do believe that we have to look at the more modern versions of nuclear power. We depend on it. We get it from France. We get it from Britain. And then we say we're not unhappy for it.
There was a time I would have recoiled at the mere thought of it, but the state of the world right now, a nuclear power plant feels kind of okay. Do you know what I mean? In the wider scale of, wider state of things, right? I'll come back to you, Mary. Katie, what's your view? I mean, the government has said it wants to move away from these type of supports, right? And they didn't differentiate either between targeted and universal supports. It just seems to be, even yesterday, I think it was the finance minister stated, we can't keep doing this.
Yeah, Mary hit the nail on the head, though. The whole problem with this started with privatisation. Absolutely.
Well, we can do nothing about that now.
No, but that's, you try and warn people that this is what will happen when business, when state companies are sold off, because we need to look at how much profit the ESB has made. Maybe they should be forced to do profit sharing with its customers. I overpaid my electricity bill for a number of years. Do you remember then when all that was out? And they gave us 45 quid back.
Yeah.
And I'd overpaid, something like 200. So, and then they were and now they're actually talking about that the cost of the repairs for Storm Owen, are going to be €125 per person that we're going to pay. Yeah. So what, I want to say, can you not just take that off the money that you already owe me when I've been overpaying for years, right? And I could do that with a small business in Letterkenny. I can't do that with the ESB. Why not?
But also, I'd like to know why our bills are so much higher compared to the rest of Europe. And I don't care which political party it is, but I would have thought that it is the role of our government, whatever the makeup of it is, say, right, 1 second here now. Electricity is so much cheaper down the country. We generated 50% of our electricity through green stuff last month, for February. Why are your bills so high? That's supposed to be all cheaper and from the wind and the sea and the solar and stuff. I think it's the role of a government to sort of find out why our charges are so high, rather than guaranteeing electricity companies their profits. I want to bring the Senator in on this as well. Okay. Senator Flynn, your views, please.
I'll just go back to the question, Greg, around taking the supports, like just doing away now with the supports. I don't think that should be the case. Tomorrow marks International Women's Day. And I'm thinking of the thousands of women in this country that can't afford to feed their children, can't afford their electricity, their heating bills, etc. And that's not me being cheesy or anything like it, because I know these women. I know these women who are, and many women, single parents in Donegal also, and in some cases in the houses in Donegal, it's 2-3 times more expensive to run than your top of the range house, say here in Dublin or in Letterkenny. So I don't believe that they should roll back in these supports. If anything, some families need more support, and the problem is maybe the universal pay, because like I put myself into the situation. I'm a politician, I'm on a good wage, I'm entitled to the universal money. I'm not going to say I don't want it. I'll be thankful for it. Like,
I know what you're saying, though. It doesn't seem to make Senator, unfortunately, just very briefly, if you don't mind, just...
My point is, Greg, they should put in measures in place for poor families and families that need it. Because if you walk into a local shop this minute, you're going to pay over €3 for a pound of butter. Yeah. And before that wasn't the case. It was €2, $1.50. Sure. Like, the cost of living has gone through the roof, and there's people who are really struggling in this country.
Senator Eileen Flynn, thanks so much for joining us. Lovely to see you. Chat to you soon. Take care. Thank you very much indeed. It's been lovely having you on the show, as it has Katie Tyrrell McCafferty, community campaigner. Katie, thank you. Really enjoy your inputs as always.
Pleasure to come along, Greg.
And Mary Hart, thank you so very much. And breaking news, folks, Mary Hart is getting high-speed broadband. No, it has to be said, because we talk a lot about negativities in this county, right? But we also have to talk about the infrastructural developments, okay? And Mary is going to get decent broadband, so next time she joins us, we'll actually be able to see and hear her clearly, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I won't be wobbling all over the
place.
But
I believe it when I see it. How's that?
Well, I would agree with you there. I will too. And by the way, just to say, I know International Women's Day tomorrow, and I am very warmed and hearted that you have a bunch of women here, and your producer, a female, and 2 lovely girls there helping out.
It's literally my life, surrounded by people that make me look good.
So it's nice to see that
the panel was great today. I think even though we had conflicting views on some things, it was just a lovely discussion.
Thank you so very much. I actually genuinely enjoyed just sitting in the middle of it too. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll be back with so much more live from the Mount Errigal Hotel in the next couple of hours, but we're going to take a break now for the news and the obituary notices.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Highland Radio was celebrating 35 years with a massive charity giveaway. On March 14th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m, we're giving away €1,000 every hour, and you could win. Buy a €10 ticket and your donation supports Donegal Cancer Flights, Blue Stack Special Needs Foundation and Huey's Corner. Help those in need and grab your chance to win. Visit highlandradio.com now.
Letterkenny Show Society annual Pedigree Bull Sale will be held in Reformart on Tuesday 11th of March at 6:30 p.m. With 57 Pedigree Bulls on offer, consisting of 38 Charolais, 8 Limousin, 9 Angus and 2 Hereford. All stock are eligible for export to Northern Ireland. Online bidding available at martbids.ie. That's this Tuesday at Reformart.
Shop Homeland's March Mega Deals. Dulux Soft Sheen or Vinyl Matte, Pure Brilliant White 10 litre, buy 2 for €75. Foxfield Gold ton bag of decorative stone, now $79.99, save €20. Offers end March 23rd. Visit your local Homeland or homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available.
Want to keep your brain and eyes at their best? Try Remind, the super strength omega-3 supplement backed by Irish science. Remind's unique formula with carotenoids and 900 milligrams of omega-3s delivers essential nutrients for brain and vision health. And to see how your nutrient levels measure up, try the Life Meter scan. Available this April at Healthwise pharmacies. In just 1 minute, a quick fingertip scan provides valuable health insights. Book your free life meter test and support your brain and eyes with Remind.
Relay for Life Donegal is back and is now open for team registration. As a community, we relay together to celebrate cancer survivorship, remember those we've lost and fight back by raising awareness. Will you join us? Gather your friends and family and enter your team. Register today at DonegalRelayForLife.com. Together, we can make a difference.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's just 2 minutes past 10. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. The 11-year-old girl who died after being hit by a car in Castledawson, County Derry on Wednesday afternoon has been named by her school as Caitlin Rose McMullen. She was a pupil at St Pius X College in Maherafelt. The collision happened just after she got off a school bus on the Hillhead Road. Leaving Cert results will be lower this year as officials start to tackle grade inflation. 2025 exam results will be given a 5.5% artificial boost on average, down from the 7.5% inflation over recent years. Department of Education records say the move aims to bring the overall set of results to a point no lower than broadly midway between 2020 and 2021 levels. Carl O'Brien, education editor for the Irish Times, says there's been some controversy over the decision.
This will disadvantage the class of 2025 in the competition for CO points with students in recent years. About 1 in 4 in the CO race, if you like, have results from previous years.
The chair of the MICA Action Group has called for measures to be put in place to address a number of serious emerging issues with the defective block redress scheme. Lisa Hone told meeting of Donegal County Council's Defective Blocks Committee that a number of people who were early starters now face being denied final payments because they missed deadlines for the submission of forms. Those deadlines, she says, are extremely tight. She says that's despite the fact that the then Housing Minister Darragh O'Brien pledged early starters would not be penalised. Ms Hone says these are the people who broke barriers.
There has to be some flexibility there. These are the people who went first. They're breaking down all the barriers. They've got all the issues, all the teething problems. We've had a lot of delays from the council in times gone by. I know that things have improved now, but these are the people that kind of went through that really tough process. So there has to be understanding, and it is something that needs to be sorted out urgently because we are potentially talking about tens of thousands of euros that are owed to people. It is absolutely inconceivable that these people should not get these payments, and it is something that has to be addressed urgently at national level.
Almost 160 new Gardaí will graduate from the Garda College later this morning. The passing out ceremony of Intake 24-2 takes place in Templemore. It's being attended by the Justice Minister, the Junior Justice Minister and the Garda Commissioner. It's understood almost 100 of those newly commissioned officers are to be stationed in Dublin. They're due to start on St Patrick's Day. Letterkenny Chamber says it will hold formal quarterly meetings with member of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District and will also increase its contact with Donegal County Council as a whole. Newly elected President Jimmy Stafford, who this week began his second stint in the job, says when it comes to lobbying, Chamber members and councillors can achieve more if they work together.
We have a great working relationship with all the councillors locally and at a county level as well, and that's key. And we've started meetings with them on a regular basis. We obviously meet the municipal group, but we'll formalise those meetings into a quarterly basis this year to sit down, because I think it's important, Donald, we're all singing off the same hymn sheet. So, you know, you have different lobby groups out there, but we all come together as one voice. That's more powerful than individuals going off. So that's going to be really important for us this year in 2025.
A new plan to increase spending on military defence has been agreed by EU leaders. The Taoiseach travelled to Brussels yesterday for the emergency summit, which was also attended by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Member states will be able to access a €150 billion fund to help boost defence capabilities. It comes as Ireland looks at its own spending with proposals to triple the defence budget. Declan Power, a former soldier and defence analyst, has been outlining what he believes the priorities should be.
I would say in the interim, immediately, the radar, the sonar and the other naval assets, cyber security, and invest in personnel, because we need the skilled personnel to be able to do all this. And indeed, better electronic and cyber intelligence gathering assets and better coordinating procedures.
Weather forecast, it'll be mostly cloudy today with light outbreaks of rain this morning. Showery rain will develop later in the afternoon and into the evening. Top temperatures today 10 to 13 degrees Celsius in light to moderate east to southeast breezes. You can check all of today's news on our website, highlandradio.com. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. But for now, from the news team, good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 7th of March. The death has occurred of Sean Fury, 10, Benaven, Letterkenny, formerly of Errigal Ardra and Raheny, Dublin. Reposing at Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock this evening. Funeral from McCabe's Funeral Home, Ardra, tomorrow, going to the Church of the Holy Family, Ardra, for funeral mass at 12 noon, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the rehab unit, St Connell's Hospital, Letterkenny. House private, please. Family time, please, before the funeral tomorrow. The death has occurred of Deirdre O'Donnell, Woking, Surrey, formerly of Lower Salahagrain, Letterkenny. Reposing at Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, from 3 o'clock to 5:30 this evening, concluding with removal to St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny, for reception prayers at 6 o'clock. Reposing overnight for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass tomorrow, which can be viewed live on churchservices.tv, followed by funeral and burial in Cornwall Cemetery. Flowers welcome, donations in lieu if desired, to King's Hospital, Denmark Hill, London, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Eileen Barr, 20 Lark Hill, Steelstown Road, Derry, formerly of Avondale House, Tubin, Burnfoot. Eileen's remains will repose at the family home in Avondale House, Tubin, Burnfoot, from 12 noon today. Removal from there on Sunday morning at 11:15, going to St Mary's Church, Fawn, for Requiem Mass at 11:30, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 12 noon. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member, or Sean Murphy, Funeral Director. And the death has taken place of Susan Curran, née Shields, Glen Carrigart, reposing at her late residence today from 11 o'clock until after the Rosary at 9. Funeral from there tomorrow morning to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. The Mass can be viewed on the Miva Parish Facebook page. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. It's only Wednesday and the kids have got tons of homework to do. Start with Irish, meatballs and tomato sauce from Aldi. Specially selected 100% Irish Black Angus meatballs, only $2.99. Served with specially selected tomato and basil pasta sauce that's made in Ireland and only $1.99. Dinner's ready. Make your school day meals hassle-free and delicious. Good food, good mood from Aldi.
You're very welcome back to the 9 Til Noon Show here on Highland Radio for this Friday. It's the 7th of March and we're broadcasting live today from the Mount Errigal Hotel. We're in the foyer here. It's part of Local Enterprise Week, which we've spoken about quite a bit over the last wee while. We've got some amazing guests coming up on the programme. We've had some amazing guests already, haven't we? Shortly, Brenda Hegarty is going to be joining us to talk about the showcase. Some of the events today are going to be hosted by Ciara Doherty, of course, former Virgin Media News. Ciara is going to be joining us for a chat as well. We're also going to be having a chat with Joe Barr, Jim McGuinness and Patsy McGonigal, three of the biggest names in Donegal sport. They're just talking at this event. We're going to have a quick chat with them too. There's a lot of synergy between, I suppose, the ethos, and they'll explain this better than I, kind of business and sport and team leadership and all that kind of stuff. There's a huge crossover there, so a good panel for the team here to book, no doubt about that. And we've other panel discussions coming up as well. As you would know, you can go to our website right now and enter a brilliant cash draw that we have running. Tickets are just €10. And on our birthday, it's this day week, isn't it? The 14th of March. We are giving away €9,000, €1,000 an hour from 11 a.m. And we have an open day at the radio station, and we'll tell you more about that, of course, closer to the time. But if you want to be in with a chance of winning one of 9 €1,000 prizes, you can go onto our website right now and buy a ticket. That being said, it's all for charity, okay? So we are supporting 3 amazing charities, Huey's Corner, the Blue Stack Foundation, and Donegal Cancer Flights and Services. So not only could you win, and win big, and you've loads of great chances, but all of the money raised outside of the prizes, of course, goes to these 3 great charities. We don't know how much we're going to raise for them, and when I say we, I mean all of us, not just Highland Radio. That's up to you and your generosity. So if you like winning cash, but you also like supporting 3 great charities, and it was great to learn a little bit more about Huey's Corner and the work they do. I'm more familiar with the Blue Stack Foundation and the fantastic work that they do, and I'm looking forward to reminding us all of Donegal Cancer Flights and Services and what they be at. So I'm not going to dilly-dally too long, because we do need the space to get to everyone, but I do want to give your comments the platform they deserve. Greg, there should be help for families. To meet their bills, because the government has so many illegal immigrants to house and feed, so the government can't look after their own people. They're not illegal immigrants. I have to just be careful with the language that we're using. I know you may have an issue with them, but they're not illegal, and they're not being housed. Those people aren't illegal immigrants. The government said that it cost up to €400 million per round on ESB payouts, yet they can't really complain because they got most of that back. After all, they are shareholders and tax and all that too. Yeah, there's something to that. Mary Hart says listeners should look up a certain judge's history for sentencing for sexual offences. It's blatantly obvious that he consistently gives very light sentences or suspended sentences to sex offenders. It's right, okay, we read that one. We need to stop letting judges let rapists off because but he's a good lad, just fell in with the wrong crowd. Eventually someone has to be the reason for the bad crowd. What about Enoch Burke? Given what you're talking about, don't agree with him, but why is he not in Castlereagh prison? Breaching a court order is how he ended up in prison. He's not in prison any longer, though. Forget about Europe being under threat. Our children are under threat at the hands of the European masters. The threat on our children, and people need to wake up. Putin's opposition in Russia are in jail or dead. Is that a democracy? Certainly not. But if you look at what's happening at the White House in terms of the press that has access to the president and what have you, there certainly are perhaps parallels that are beginning to be able to be drawn. A caller says there should never be any suspended sentence for any crime affecting a child, be it sexual or physical. A lot of people would agree with that. I'm sorry, Russia won't have China's back in a US v China situation. There's some gullible morons out here who really don't pay attention to history. If people think that Russia would turn its back on its historic Cold War ally because Trump was there, not a chance. We should stay out of war. We had enough fighting for years with the British. Think we should keep our mouths shut. We are a small country in Europe trying to promote peace around the world. Other countries would love that we have respect of other countries and help in a humanitarian way. Hi, Greg, can you remind your panel Belfast was bombed in World War II? And last one, just for now, Eileen is talking sense. And another, so can you clarify, please, we should not be neutral anymore and join the fight, and Ukraine has signed a mineral deal with Trump, not Europe. Yeah, there's a lot of anomalies and stuff that doesn't appear to make great sense. Okay, I'm going to take a break. I know many of you keen to play bingo because it is Friday, actually. Of course you are. So we're going to take those numbers right now, and then we're going to be back with much more of the reasons why we're here, in fact, at the Mount Errigal. So that's coming up in just a couple of moments. Stay right where you are.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 7th of March. You're playing on the yellow sheet for the daily prize of €1,200. The reference number is S10. It's game number 10.
I've been on this.
The numbers are 84, 63, 25, 88, 83, 35, 13, 18, 2, and finally 45. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com. The 9 Till Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
When it's time for confirmation or first communion, it's time for a trip to Watson Menswear in Letterkenny. Choose from a great selection of top label, casual and formal wear. Suits with matching shirts and ties, blazers, jackets and shirts. Also denims, chinos and footwear from big names like Diesel, Cavani and Tommy Bow. Stand out on the big day at Watson Menswear. Open 7 days a week on Main Street, Letterkenny. And online at watsonmenswear.com.
Den Iartas Jontas Eireachta Pobl ag Heritage Council Panca/funding. Le takeocht an rinsiíochta Realtas Áitiúil agus Eireachta.
TG Cahir's highest rating country music series, Opry Le Daniel, is back at Derry's Millennium Forum for 3 nights only. Daniel O'Donnell will host and record with 17 special guests from Monday 24th to Wednesday 26th of March, with 2 concerts each night. Tickets available from the Millennium Forum box office and website.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Okay, very welcome back to the programme here. We're broadcasting live from the foyer of Mount Errigal. And it is part of a really important event that's taking place, and it's part of Local Enterprise Week. Brenda Hegarty is CEO of Donegal Enterprise Donegal and joins us here. Good morning to you, Brenda.
Good morning, Greg.
I was just in the room where everything's been set up today. It looks fabulous. It's lovely, it's big, it's spacious. Looks like no expense spared. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, we're delighted to be here at the Mount Errigal. It's the finishing event of Local Enterprise Week, and it's all about a celebration of Donegal enterprises. So it's looking at our food and our creative enterprises. We have over 30 exhibiting this afternoon. And then just before that, we have the Business Summit, which we have a celebration of business leaders as well as sporting stars. So we're delighted here to be in the Mount Errigal, and we'd encourage as many people to drop over. The Business Summit, you can still book online and come along to that at 12 o'clock. We have 3 great sporting stars, Joe Barr, Jim McGuinness and Patsy McGonigal. Apologies, yes, Patsy. And then the 3 industry leaders that have worked in significant businesses.
And I think it's quite obvious, but the logic of sporting, having such sporting greats here, is it the obvious? Is it about leadership, about motivation, about teamwork, about drive? You know, there's a synergy there, isn't it? And it's quite obvious. And you've gathered up the best of the best, I must say. A fantastic panel.
Yeah, we're absolutely delighted, and as you rightly say, there is great parallels between sport and business, and it's interesting. We always have a leadership in business event through sport at the end of each of our Local Enterprise Week, and it's really popular because a lot of the key principles in sport is very similar to key principles in business, driving individual performance, getting the right mindset, looking at team performance, culture, motivation, all of that is relevant regardless whether you're in sport or in business.
And I think today would be a good opportunity, and we spoke about this in the past. You know, Leo integrates and interacts and helps lots and lots of people, right? But this is an opportunity, I suppose, to see that in action, isn't it? You know, the businesses that work with the Local Enterprise Office, the kind of supports that are there, the events that take place as part of this week. You know, this isn't a closed gang here. This is something that if you have a business or a business idea, you can be very much a part of.
Of course, we support businesses, everybody from 1 person to 50 employees, even those that are just thinking about starting a business. There is a range of supports available through the Local Enterprise Office. So the week, and we'd like to thank our partners because it's not just about the Local Enterprise Office. We have a lot of enterprise partners like Fáilte, ETB, ATU, Udris na Gaeltachta, that we all work collectively in trying to encourage more people to start in business, and then for those that are in business, to give them the supports that are needed to thrive and grow their business in Donegal.
Okay, so we are in the Mount Errigal Hotel, a lovely central location, of course, plenty of parking. Between 12 noon and 3 p.m, there is a Made in Donegal Business Summit event. That is the part of the day that has the panel discussion, isn't it?
Yeah, the Business Summit is
so
the panel discussion.
How do you, you still have time, because it's only just after 10 really, you still have time to book a position. How do you do that?
Yeah, so if they go on our website, localenterprise.ie/Donegal, you will have the opportunity to book the Business Summit, and that's happening from 12 to 3. As I said, there's 2 panels. The business panel is Willie McCarter from Fruit La Loom, had over 3,000 employed in Donegal at one stage. Caroline Faulkner, who has started her career here in Letterkenny and has worked for many Fortune 500 companies, as well as Edward McDade, and we all know and love Football Special. So that's the business panel, and then, as I said, the sporting panel is Joe Barr, Jim McGuinness and Patsy McGonigal.
It's a 3-hour that will fly, there's no doubt about it.
If they go online and book there, and then the showcase is open this afternoon.
So that's exactly, I wanted to sort of compartmentalise this. So then between 4 and 7 p.m. What is the showcase? And that's an open door event. Just come in. What would people see if they come in, and how do they interact with what's going on?
So this is a showcase where each of our 30 businesses from the food and creatives that are making products here in Donegal, there's an opportunity for people to come along, see what products, and it's really mind-blowing, what is happening. Everything from socks to bees and honey products to soap to brass work, and then across the foods we have meat, vegetables, healthy food options. We have Filligans jams, so a wide range.
I don't think it's any coincidence, is it, that we're seeing so much development in that area, local produce, organic produce, using natural resources in interesting ways. It's not exclusively that, but we're very good at it. We seem to be getting really, really good at it.
Yeah, we've been supporting through the Food Coast and the Creative Coast a network of food producers and creative producers for many years now, and really the success, the fruits of that is really showcasing now, where we have a lot of good food and creative businesses right across the country. The county. And as you rightly say, there is a drive now for more local, more sustainable food products, and we like to showcase them through our restaurants and our hotels, as well as through our retail outlets. So we have a great selection of local food businesses, and they're all on show today.
Fantastic stuff. And this is about today, right? But we'll just remind people again, the local enterprise office, I know we spoke about this, the local enterprise office is there. It's tooled up, ready to go and resourced to support people with ideas, people in business, guidance, help with networking, the access to some revenue streams that can be available. It's all there.
Yeah, the local enterprise office is a great resource. It's a resource for anybody that's in business or thinking of starting business. We have training programs, a Start Your Own Business program, an accelerator program, a dedicated one for females through Ambition, with a Scala accelerator program starting. We have a great mentoring program where people can avail of expert mentoring if they have a business challenge. We have financial streams, as you rightly say, for people in manufacturing or trading internationally. They can get employment support or capital support. And then we have a range of different supports around sustainability, helping people to assess their carbon footprint and get a more sustainable business. We've also supports for people that need to digitalise and embrace the new technologies, whether that's AI, ChatGPT, or just building better customer relationship systems that they can engage better and manage their workplace better. So we have a wide range of supports. They're all available. We have a monthly actually fortnightly business clinic, or we have business advisors available all year round.
All right, okay, I don't think we can do any more, Brenda. It's all there. People know about it now, hopefully, and maybe if the people that might benefit from this aren't listening right now and you're related to them or friends with them, send them the podcast. Brenda Hegarty, CEO of Donegal Enterprise Donegal, thank you so very much indeed. It's been lovely speaking to you. Right, okay, so you can still register for those, for the first element of today, 12 to 3 p.m. The Business Summit event made in Donegal, two great panels and lots more conversation. And also, too, you have that showcase event between 4 and 7 p.m. where you can come in and see some of the artisan food and craft industries and also come down and network and all that type of stuff as well. All right, it is the 9 Till Noon Show here in Highland Radio. We'll be back with our next guests after we take a short break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 Till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Don't miss the Hillary's up to half price sale. That's up to half price on an amazing range of blinds, curtains and shutters. And right now, get €50 off your electric blind order. An easy and convenient way to control your blinds with the touch of a button. But be quick, these incredible savings must end 10th of March. Don't miss out. Transform your home for less. Visit hillarys.ie to book your free in-home appointment today. Hurry! Hillary's up to half price sale ends 10th of March. Conditions apply.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing or voluntary transfer, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
If you're into makeup, then you'll want to know that Longcom's elite makeup artist Lorraine Lynch will hold a makeup and skincare masterclass at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny on Thursday 13th of March at 7 p.m. With refreshments, giveaways and prizes, it promises to be a really enjoyable experience. Tickets at just €25 are redeemable against any Longcom purchase on the night. Places are limited, so booking is essential. Call McGee's Chemist on 91-21409 or call in store to guarantee your VIP place.
Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny, award-winning travel experts. Sail the Sicilian coastline, dive the Maldives, tour Riacan and Tuscan vineyards, stroll the shores of Lake Garda or the streets of Santorini. Indulge the senses, savor new flavors, embrace warm welcomes, smiling faces and balmy sunsets. Escape with atlantictravel.ie. Book today.
9 Till Noon live from the Maiden Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Yes, indeed. So, as you would know, next Friday we have a special open day at Highland Radio. It's as part of our 35th birthday celebrations, and we're also running a cash draw on our website, which in and of itself is perfectly fine. We've got 9 prizes of €1,000 to give away. Tickets are just €10. But the hook this time is that you are supporting 3 of our fantastic charities. Huey's Corner, the Blue Stack Foundation and Donegal Cancer Flights and Services. Mary Coyle is in studio with me now. She is manager of Inidni Podrig and coordinator of Donegal Cancer Flights and Services. And I was genuinely chuffed when I heard that the Donegal Cancer Flights and Services was going to be one of the beneficiaries, because they do amazing work. There's just no doubt about that, Mary. So personally, I'm delighted.
I must say I'm delighted as well. And I've often said that this is not a funded service. This service is really funded by the community. Everybody, some patients, but a lot of organisations fundraise for us, and that helps us so much to provide the service that we do.
And, you know, often it's called the cancer flights, but there's much more to that, and there's an awful lot going on in the background of the name. Mary, just give us an overview.
There is, I suppose, when we took over the service in 2017, it was just the cancer flights. We were just coordinating the cancer flights to Dublin. Since then, that's even widened as we now provide a service for children with lifelong illnesses or life-limiting illnesses. We have a counselling service. We provide counselling in the centre 2 days a week. We also have a car, and we provide the service to Galway, Castlebar, Hamilton, Sligo, Belfast, Ballykelly.
Because when you're dealing with a diagnosis or treatment, the thought of how you get to where you need to go to try and get better, it's just a problem on top of a problem. It's something that you really probably shouldn't have to deal with, but geographically the fact is we do.
And we do. And there are so many examples out there of somebody that needed to get to Manor Hamilton, and when I looked into it, that person would have needed to get 5 buses to get to Manor Hamilton. It's not doable for somebody that is going through cancer treatment and that is going down for treatment. So as well, somebody from up in Mallinhead that needs to get down to Galway and needs to be in Galway for 10 o'clock. That's also not something that is doable in a day. You're talking about the service having to take that person to the Mount Errigal here, put them up for the night, pick them up the next day and take them down to Galway. So it's geographically, it's very difficult for cancer patients to get to the treatments, and especially if you have family. If you have cancer patients that don't have family members and they don't have anybody to go with them. So we have 16 fabulous volunteer drivers, and we also launched a bus there. Moya Brennan launched our bus just before
I
Christmas.
wasn't available, folks. She had to get the Donegal
Next
person.
time.
She had to get the Donegal Person of the Year, internationally famous artist to do it. No, Moya's brilliant. Yeah, it's fantastic. And just to reiterate, listeners, and you do know this, I think, the stuff that Mary's talking of there, this is about helping us as a community, and it's the community that funds it. And you can help fund it directly, of course, but also by entering our cash competition. Noreen Boyle is a cancer patient, and she has been so excited to travel all the way over to Letterkenny to speak to me. She can barely contain her excitement.
How are you, Greg?
Thanks so much, Noreen. And I do understand that radio's not for everyone, and I really appreciate you coming on, because you are or have been a cancer patient, and you've used these services, and I won't keep you too long, but what difference did having access to these services make for you in your treatment?
Well, when I got the cancer first, Greg, you just be thinking of the cancer, and then you think of the cost of it, because once I got the cancer, I had to stop working, and then that's when Mary came on board and helped. The service is very good. If I have appointments and if I'm going down with my husband, she'll make sure that we have accommodation and everything like that. So it means an awful lot, for somebody that has cancer, and that you don't have to be worrying too much about the cost of it all. You have enough to be dealing with the cancer kind of thing, so they are very good, and they run a brilliant service,
Yeah, and it's not just the individual, it is the family as well, it is the husband, because, it affects everybody, doesn't it,
it does.
Noreen?
It definitely does, I never thought I would get cancer, Greg. My cancer journey started. My sister died of ovarian cancer back in 1999 at the age of 45.
Wow,
ovarian cancer, and I just went then to get the ovaries checked, what myself and my other sisters would do every couple of years. So I went in different times. So I just went then in 2012 in the hospital in Letterkenny, and Catherine McGowan done the ovarian test, and she said to me at the end of it, I knew it was taking longer, and she said to me, your ovaries are fine, but I can see a lesion on your bladder. Now, I never heard the word lesion before, didn't know. I said, what's a lesion? And she says, look, it's something that's stuck to the bladder wall. She was hoping it would be floating around, but it wasn't. So anyway, she then told me I had to get the camera done. So I got the camera done by Mr. Kevin Moore, and started from there. In May then, I was told I had cancer in the bladder, And then Letterkenny was dealing with it. They were scraping it away every so often, but the more they scraped it away, the more it was coming back. So anyway, eventually I had to end up going down to Galway, where I got chemo into the bladder, and that leaked out of the bladder and it perforated it, and the chemo started to leak, and it wasn't monitored because it was going into the bladder, and before it was flushed out,
Oh, wow.
it was a problem. But anyway, up and down to Galway then for years with the help of Mary and them, and then eventually I had to get the bladder removed because they were afraid it would go on to the other organs. So I have a urostomy bag now, so it's doable. I'm living, and I'm grateful.
Well, you look fantastic. You really, really do, and it's a tough, and it is. It's not just the Donegal cancer flights too. I suppose it's the community wrapping around you as well, because it's community funding, isn't it? Because we can be a wee bit proud or shy or not, but something like that's lovely. I think that the community sort of is there for you as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And a lot of friends, and you make new friends, and you're telling your story to different people, because people out there, can be frightened of the word cancer to start off with, as a scary word, but then, you just kind of learn to live with it. And I'm was living with cancer. Hopefully everything's gone now, but brilliant. It is scary, but just, everybody's better getting checked, because I never thought, well, I'm going to get cancer, I'm going to end up without a bladder.
You didn't think it was going to be the bladder, did you? You thought, right, they're going to find something on the ovaries, if anything.
Exactly, because I never thought, because I said to her, when she said bladder, I said, do you mean gallbladder? And she says, no, I mean the bladder, the water works, and I thought, oh my God, and I said cancer, but she was only checking the ovaries, it wasn't her job. And went to the GP the following day, and in fairness, I got out to Mr. Moore, a very nice man, and he didn't just have the right help in Letterkenny,
it's been a funny thing for you, 'cause you've been lucky, but then unlucky, then lucky, but then unlucky, hasn't it? It's been like this in your experience.
But at the end of the day, if you're there to tell the tale, it means an awful lot.
It is indeed. No, that wasn't too bad, Maureen.
No, it wasn't too bad.
Okay, so didn't I tell you? Didn't
thanks.
Mary tell you on the way over?
Yeah, but no good telling me.
No, thank you so much for that. We're also with Sean Doohan. Sean, and you're like so many people that avail of services. We'll hear about it. You tell us about your services, but you were so appreciative that you became then a supporter of the services. So, what's your story, Sean?
Well, good morning, Greg, and your listeners. Yeah, 2022 after COVID, I just went for the usual blood tests, and my PSA was rising from my local GP, and it led to tests and further tests, and I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. That's just the bottom line. I started my treatment in Dublin. Now, I was aware of the flight, but I hadn't used it initially, but then I started using it. And as far as I'm concerned, it was a great sense of support in the fact that you were going up for treatment. The travelling time was minimised. You leave early in the morning, you're in the hospital within 2 hours. You possibly got your treatment that day, which I did most of the time. You were back down that evening. Notwithstanding, there's other great services leaving this county as well, but just the flight was handy from the perspective of somebody that's getting treatment, because the minimum travelling time, if you're in bad form or you need to use the washroom or you're just sick, you're minimal. The time travelling is very minimised, and it's fabulous. It's a great, I suppose, backup, and how would you say that? It gives you a confidence that you're not afraid to travel to Dublin for treatment, be it at any stage.
Yeah, you have people there supporting you and helping you, don't you?
That's great.
So when how did your treatment go for you?
Thanks be to God, I'm coming out the other end of it, nearly at the other end of it now.
Again, you're looking healthy as a trout as well, which is good to hear. That can sometimes belie the truth, but I must say that you look great. And now you've become a fundraiser.
Yeah, last November, I hadn't shaved for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and there was a friend of mine that was sitting in the house one night, and he says, "No wonder you don't gather money for that." And I looked at him, and I happened to come across something on social media. It was the No Shave November for men's prostate cancer. So I said, I was expecting to raise 100, maybe 200 or 300 euros, and I put it up on I set up a GoFundMe page. And through all my friends on social media and work colleagues and my family and friends and family, I gathered about 3,867
Fantastic. Now, just let's be clear. Let's be clear about this. That's amazing. But you didn't shave for 2 weeks.
Well, I didn't shave for the whole 4 now, in fairness.
So you didn't shave for 4 weeks, and you raised €3,000 to have a shave.
3,967.
That's just called being a man. It's fantastic.
And I might do it this year again, by the way.
And I think the real story there is it was your mates and your community backing you.
Correct.
And that was a nice little hook for it. But what a fantastic figure to raise. That is astonishing. I thought you were going to say 800, but to get to that height. So you're thinking of doing that. And that feeds back into it, and then it helps support the services for the next people. Listen, well done, Sean. That's brilliant. And let us know if we can plug that for you. Not that you need us after raising
It's nice to give something back.
100%, and something really significant. Continued good health to you, Noreen. Thanks so much for coming up, because you are... and Sean is, we're all just neighbours, really.
Yeah.
You know, we might be speaking on a radio station, but we're just really normal people, and this is a normal community, amazing but normal service, if that makes sense, of the community. Mary, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so very much. And you can support these 3 great charities by entering our cash draw right now. You can go onto the website. A ticket is £10. We have 9 prizes of €1,000 to give away next Friday, but all the money raised is going to support these amazing charities: Donegal Flights and Services, Huey's Corner, and also the Blue Stack Foundation. All right, it is the 9 Till Noon Show, and we'll be back with more on it. Joe, I just need you to fire this break. This computer's crashed. We'll be back with more on the show after these messages.
The 9 Till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Anger over states' re-wetting plans intensifies. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we look at why farmers are furious over peatland proposals. GAA seeks farmland nationwide for solar farms. Agricultural tax reliefs are back in the spotlight. Departments set to clamp down on map acres. Find what price you'll need for grass cattle to break even this autumn. Latest on the ICBF Pedigree Society's row inside our special suckler focus. And why planning permission can be harder to get on land with road frontage. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
March Madness has arrived at your local Mabel store across Donegal. Mark your calendar for Tuesday, March 11th, when you can enjoy an incredible 10% off almost everything in store all day long. But that's not all. Follow your local Mabel store on Facebook to stay updated on exclusive weekly offers and exciting Easter competitions. And not forgetting, your local Mabel store has everything you need for the perfect St. Patrick's weekend. Mabel Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
Airport na Shunanuga Hifagul mar an Terford is far in Erin.
Josh Gela Makas amach, vi is gan agoni go raibh parkall áisiúil, dini den sco, slandal gan stro agus scuinlí an ghearagwin, agus jas an rud é a chlúnstin gan 19 gacile din a lin. An Terford is far in Erin. Airport na Shunanuga, á dhéana bhéasca.
They say time equals money, so spend your money where you spend your time. No matter what your preference is, Cooney's Home Interiors has something to suit every taste and budget. With our extensive range of home furnishing to fit every room and style, from mattresses and beds to rugs, mirrors and suites of furniture. Visit us in store today and see for yourself what Cooney's have to offer, and let us help you make your dream home a reality. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. Huge range, great prices.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business, and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, very welcome back to the programme. I'll bring you the weather forecast in a moment, but I have a couple of guests here with me in our studio, and I want to say hello first to Ciara Doherty, who's MC and host of the event today. Ciara, it's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here, Greg. Lovely to be home.
Indeed, and it's great to have you home. And you're on a... Well, I don't know how to frame this without getting a slap. You're not on telly at the moment, but you're probably really, really flat out right. But in what a lot of people listening know you as, a broadcaster, you're on a bit of a break.
Yeah, I was with Virgin Media, formerly TV3, for 14 years. I was with Ireland AM and then moved on to The Tonight Show, but decided at the end of November after the election that there was an opportunity to take a break, to take a hiatus, to take, I think, some much needed time out. So that's really what I've been doing for the last couple of months. I thought I would take 3 months out and then begin to think about the future, but those 3 months have gone like that.
Yeah.
So I've negotiated with my husband that I now take 6 months out, and I think he's fearful that at the end of those 6 months I'll say, actually, really what I meant was a year out.
But I would say
life is busy.
I'm sure it is, Ciara, with events like this and all the stuff and having time with your family. But at the same time, too, you're a news junkie, right? So there's going to be another part of you that's pulling you back in the other direction, I'm sure.
Yeah, what you realise, I suppose, is if you're in this world like you are, Greg, or I am, or you're just somebody who has an interest in news and current affairs and politics, it's actually an addiction, isn't it? And it's very, very difficult to pull yourself away from it. So in some ways, I feel as involved as I always was, because it's absolutely impossible to tear yourself away from the moment, given what's happening in the United States and given that the world order has been upended since November. So I am still following that closely every single day. And yes, there are days, I have to say, like last Friday when we saw what happened, of course, in the White House, in the Oval Office, where you're thinking, oh, I'd love to get into a studio and thrash this out. But it's still quite pleasurable to watch from the sidelines too,
I think
have
you've
to admit.
probably got another 3 or 6 months and all those interviews will still be there. I'm just getting that sense, such is the flux in the world at the moment. And do you know what you want to do next? Or I suppose, how could you truly enjoy your time off if you're really future planning, if you know what I mean? But the world is your oyster to an extent as well too.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, I have tried to be really disciplined for the last couple of months, because I started working in media on my 21st birthday. That was my first job in ITV, and other than maternity leaves, I haven't taken any time out. And as anybody who works in the industry will know, it is a really busy, demanding job, but you never switch off. It's really, it's a lifestyle more than anything else. So I have tried to give myself the space and allow myself to take this time out and do the things that I felt I wasn't getting time to do, the very normal things in life, like collect the children from school every day and bring them to their gymnastics or their swimming. Or I've spent a lot more time in Donegal with my mum and dad, which I've really cherished, and I'm trying to focus on that and give myself the space and enjoy this break while I can afford to do it, and not think too much about the future. It is my hope to stay within broadcasting. It is my passion. It's what I've loved. It's what I've been doing for 21 years.
But maybe it's an opportunity to ensure that you do whatever you do on your terms, rather than sort of trying to fit in to what you started at 21, and just it's very hard to reset that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always actually worked on my own terms.
Have you?
To be honest,
I must have a talk with you when we get off air, because I don't know how you do that.
Maybe I talk to you about some negotiating techniques with Highland Radio, is it?
I think you might have, to use the Donald Trump phrase, you might have better cards than me.
I don't know about that.
But anyway, what about events like this? Because obviously, you've got 2 great panels. I believe you're doing the panels, are you?
Yes.
You've got 2 fantastic panels, right?
Fantastic
panels. You've got a live audience there. So, you get to find out information from the audience, but ask questions that you'd be keen to ask yourself in any case. So looking forward to that, Ciara.
I'm really looking forward to it. I am usually here every December doing the Donegal Local Enterprise Office Awards. They have a fantastic awards ceremony in Errigal House where they celebrate all of the great businesses here in Donegal. But I know behind all of those businesses there is a lot of hard work, energy, dedication, sweat, blood and tears. And I think Local Enterprise Week, and this is a culmination of that week, is about supporting those businesses. So today I have 2 summits. One is with business leaders from Donegal, Edward McDade's. People will be familiar with the McDade's, of course, football special. And the rest, Willie McCarter, who would have been, of course, behind Fruit of the Loom, and Caroline Faulkner, who's with Primerica and then Prudential Financial, who's now a business consultant. I will be speaking to them as about their experiences within businesses, some of their leadership strategies, some of their strategies for expanding and scaling up their business. Really looking forward to that. And then in the afternoon or after that, I have a second panel, and that is a sports panel. And I am really looking forward to this. Genuinely, it's got Jim McGuinness, Joe Barr and Patsy McGonigal. All stalwarts, all legends. I know we don't like to use that word too often in this industry, but it's because it's thrown around. And these are people that I think business, in fact, I think everybody can learn from people who have reached the top of the game in the sports field, because they have resilience, discipline, determination, qualities that I think so many people aspire to have, and they generally have to apply them in their work and in their sport every single day, and will be speaking about what they have learnt from their experiences in sport and how they can, I suppose, transfer those skills into the business sector. So those are the two summits this afternoon. I think there are still tickets available.
Still tickets. Go to the Leo website, €10, and
it's really good value. So do come down, enjoy this, and I promise I will keep 10 minutes for a section at the end to ask Jim McGuinness about the Donegal team.
Brilliant stuff. Now, I mean, obviously, we've got the best in terms of Donegal business, Donegal sport, and in you, Ciara, we're all very proud of what you have achieved and what you will achieve. And Eric Roberts as well, recently won an award, didn't you? I don't know what the actual title of it is, and I don't want to do a disservice. So I'm going to ask you to tell me what it's the most. Come on.
I don't like talking about it, but I was voted the best social media star in the country. So it was a lovely title to receive, and I'm very, very grateful.
It's a huge honour actually, because we have a really vibrant social media scene.
We do indeed, yeah. I mean, in the last couple of years, creators and businesses are kind of getting more involved in content, which is great to see. But to take home the title to Donegal was very, very special, and it wasn't without its hard work over the last couple of years. So it was nice to be recognised.
For sure, and we talk about businesses, and you've got your supports, but some would say it's a business of one, right? And you had to make decisions, as giving up your job as an SNA, and you have to bring people with you on that journey and saying, right, I think I can do something with you. So I mean, I think you actually fit in quite well to the whole business side of this as well. I know you're in the entertainment, but fundamentally, we all have the bills to pay as well, Eric.
Absolutely. It wasn't a decision taken lightly, leaving work, but it's kind of led to some incredible opportunities. I've been working now with Ireland AM as well, similar to Ciara, and it's led me down some interesting roads that I never thought were a possibility, and I suppose it's just that new media now of online. So I'm very, very lucky to be in the position I'm in.
We were talking about the work-life balance. Is it more difficult for someone sort of very well known in the social media circles to get that work-life balance? Because I get the impression you're on all the time, or that you always have to be creating. That's how it feels. But what's the lived reality?
I mean, I was getting jealous there here talking about all that time off that she's enjoying. It is quite full on, but I feel like I'm quite early on in my career. I suppose I'm only getting going with some of the opportunities that I've been seeing recently, like hosting the red carpet at the IFTAs and hosting the Gossies and stuff. I'm kind of getting into more mainstream media and presenting roles, which is great. So I feel like I can't really take any time off now. I have a new baby boy at home, so
on that,
I've been enjoying that little bubble, and I kind of took some time in January and February, but it's all go again now for the rest of the year.
But is it kind of then? Do you see the influencer element of it, though? You'll always be an influencer, as more of a stepping stone of where your dreams and goals are now.
I mean, I think absolutely my dreams are ever changing the more I do. There's no sign of a ceiling in sight. You know what I mean? The more I grow, the more opportunities I get, and then the more I want. It's as Ciara said, it's addictive. So I just want to keep going and work as hard as I can and see where it takes me.
Ciara, have you been an interested observer of how social media has developed over the course of your career? From when you first started at 21 to now. And I mean, obviously there's social media we could talk about, which we won't, but unless you want to, the news side of it as well. But just the influence of it, and that now, if you are hosting an event, you want journalists there, but you also want, social media personalities there, digital journalists. It's changed big time, hasn't it?
Oh, it's changed beyond recognition, Greg. I started in media 21 years of age, which is now 21 years ago, giving away my age. There was no social media as far as I can recall. I don't remember anything. Maybe there was it Bebo? Is that even considered?
Friends Reunited.
Friends Reunited.
That's a throwback.
That was that was a different page altogether, Greg. With a different
I never
purpose.
logged up because I had no one to reunite with.
They were all here. They were all still your friends. Look, I tell you, I think the world of social media has made the world of media a lot more competitive.
Yeah. Hold its feet to the fire, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I think as Eric has said there, those working within social media, actually, the more they work in the mainstream media, doing live events, doing television and the radio, the more, they get a kick out of that. They want it and they're competing for those roles too. And again, those of us who have started out in mainstream media, I started out in radio and then moved into television, have realised that we've had to really work on our social reach and trying to bring, raise our social media presence and our social media platforms. So it's made it more difficult. I think it has made it more competitive. But competition is a good thing, isn't it?
I think so. And I think really, Eric, to some extent too, the balance is yet to be struck as to where everything sits in the landscape of entertainment and news and what have you,
I think so. I think there's just some incredibly talented people coming out of the woodwork now. I think people that have been in this industry for a long time are probably a bit like, who are these Egypts coming in and getting these opportunities and stuff? But I think people are proving their worth. And
I sorry to get across it, but I think you're so right there. And we've seen it in the music industry as well. It kind of had to be who but now people can make music and put it out themselves and promote it themselves. Like you can say, I deserve to be on the telly, but you're not getting the calls maybe because you're based in Donegal. But you can say, right, look, this is what I can do. You can't ignore me now. So I do love that fact that people's future, if you want to put your mind to it, you can achieve it. You can drive yourself on.
You can create opportunities for yourself. I mean, if you're getting a few 100,000 followers, there's a reason these people are engaging with your content, and there's a reason that they're a fan of your work. And I kicked down a few doors. I found I had an interest in it, and I messaged Virgin Media or I messaged Lad Bible on the 6 o'clock show, and I said I'd love an opportunity, and I was lucky enough to get them, and it went very well. And through that, I got more and more work. So it's just about trying to find what you're interested in and build on that. But social media has been an excellent way for people to do that.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is, anybody who's doing really well on social media, I think we've all recognised now they're working incredibly hard at it. It looks simple, it looks easy, but there's a huge amount of working on behind the scenes, and I think traditional media now recognises that.
Exactly, Kieran. I can kind of get judged every quarter with figures and all. You on social media can get judged in any moment in terms of your reach and your impressions and all that kind of stuff. So you have to be, top of your game, which Eric is.
As are you, Greg. Your figures are very good, aren't they?
My figures are actually fantastic. Ciara Doherty, thank you very much indeed. Lovely to see you here, and I'm sure we'll see you back on the screens very, very soon. Eric, continued success to you. Congratulations on your recent award and the additions to your family and all, and best wishes to you. Okay, thanks both of you very much indeed. We are broadcasting live from a wonderful event here. Made in Donegal Business Summit coming up from 12 noon, emceed with interviews from Ciara, as I just mentioned. And also, by the way, check out online, because Eric's going around making content as well with some of the people who are showcasing here. That and so much more besides. So get down here. We'll be back very shortly with the news at 11.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Donegal County Council wish to announce an open call for funding under Fáilte Ireland's Regional Festival and Participative Events Programme 2025. This programme for County Donegal aims to support festivals and events that will drive domestic tourism and help to improve the visitor experience in Donegal. The application period will close at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the 11th of March 2025. For further information, please visit donegalcoco.ie or email tourism@donegalcoco.ie.
Us pigeons see everything when we're flapping around up here.
Well, almost everything.
See, burning certain fuels releases invisible toxic pollutants, which can trigger asthma and lead to serious illness. So, if you're going to light a fire in your home, make sure to use low smoke fuel. Oh, and never wing it burning rubbish.
Choosing low smoke fuel is better for all of us. Let's clear the air for everyone. And remember to clean chimneys and heating appliances at least once a year. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Back to the pitch with Brian McCormick Sports. Football boots for all ages. Adidas Copa Pure Pro in real soft leather. It's a must try on. Adidas Predator Pro in soft ground. The perfect boot for extra grip on pitch. Boots for kids in Velcro or lace. With all your training essentials, gum shields, shorts and compression tops. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Massive spring sale at Charles Bonner & Sons Ballabafay. €500 off wood pellet boiler stoves. €250 off wood pellet non-boiler stoves. Discounts on all multi-fuel and electric stoves, plumbing and bathroom ware. Sale ends March 31st or while stocks last. Charles Bonner & Sons Ballabafay and thestovestore.ie, where you can always do a good deal better.
9 Till Noon live from the Maiden Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock. We'll be back with so much more from the Mount Errigal here, but first we'll take a news update and it's back over to Donald Kavanagh. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The chair of Donegal County Council's Defective Concrete Block Committee has confirmed that Housing Minister James Brown is being invited to visit Donegal to meet with the council for a briefing on the process with the scheme so far, the urgent need for improvements and the specific challenges facing the county. Councillor Mark McDermott also says the council should refuse to implement any rent reviews or increases for tenants in defective block affected social homes until a remediation scheme is announced and implemented. Leaving Cert results will be lower this year as officials start to tackle grade inflation. 2025 exam results will be given a 5.5% artificial boost on average, down from the 7.5% inflation over recent years. The Department of Education say the move is intended to bring the overall set of results to a point no lower than broadly midway between 2020 and 2021 levels. Donegal Senator Eileen Flynn says there must be a provision in October's budget for some form of cost of living payment for those who need it. In the Dáil this week, Finance Minister Paschal Donohoe said there would not be a universal payment similar to the ones included in the last few budgets. Speaking to Greg Hughes on the 9 Til Noon Show this morning, Senator Flynn said she accepts the universal payment model may not be sustainable, but says a targeted replacement must be devised. Letterkenny Chamber says it will hold formal quarterly meetings with members of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District and also increase its contact with Donegal County Council as a whole. Newly elected President Jimmy Stafford says when it comes to lobbying, Chamber members, councillors and other local groups can achieve much more if they work together. And almost 160 new Gardaí are graduating from the Garda College in Templemore today. The passing out ceremony is taking place this morning. It's being attended by the Justice Minister, the Junior Justice Minister and the Garda Commissioner. Of the 160 graduates, over 100 of them are being moved to Dublin. They start work on St Patrick's Day. And that's Silent Radio News for now. We're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Donald.
From the news team, good morning.
And 2 to Donegal out of 160 odd.
Indeed.
Okay, we'll be back with more after this really short break. Stay right where you are.
Don't often describe insurance, but they perfectly fit the electric Fiat 500 you have the opportunity to win if you get a new car policy from On Post Insurance. For great cover at a great price and a shot at the Fiat 500, get a quote at onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply and are available at onpostinsurance.ie/promotions. Competition ends December 31st, 2025. One Direct Ireland Limited trading as On Post Insurance is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post.
All right, there's two great panels speaking here at the Mount Errigal, and we're going to give you a sample of what they've got to say. They'll be joining us too. Really looking forward to that. But also very pleased to welcome Jerusha. Is that correct, Jerusha?
Yep,
beautiful
perfect,
name,
yeah.
Jerusha. Owner
Thank
of
you.
Jerusha Marley Open Artist Studio and Shop. And you're showcasing here today.
I am, yes.
Tell me about your business, Jerusha.
So I have a shop in Donegal Town. It's in Millcote Mews. And I'm a designer, an artist. I hand draw artworks, which are then translated onto luxury silks, canvas prints, cushions, all things homewares and textiles.
It sounds wonderful, but how do you find that there is a market for that? I mean, it seems obvious, right? But you have to sort of put a lot of time and your skills and everything into it. So how did you learn that there was a market for it, there was a business here?
I started out, on setting up a website. So the website was running for quite a number of years before I then moved into having a physical shop. So I think it's really, social media is huge in supporting that.
And you ship all over the world, don't you?
I do, yeah. So I find the shop's really helping now because, Donegal is an amazing tourist town, tourist destination. So there's a lot of say Americans who are coming into the shop, and then they'll go back home and they'll take the website with them, and then I'll continue to ship to them.
And do you have an ethos, do you, or your customer base? Is there a spiritual element to your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So the drawings are very soulful and they tell a lot of stories. So I think they resonate quite deeply with people, for sure, yeah.
So does that mean you kind of get a sense of who your customers are, even if you don't get to interact with them? Because if they get you
I
presume
think
you might be able to get them?
Every business has their specific kind of, I suppose, customer base that we're striving to bring to our business. But I also find that it resonates with everyone. You know, there's always the most surprising customers sometimes pick up pieces, yeah.
And you do all the pieces yourself, or is there a team?
No, I mean, it takes a team to run a business.
Of course, yeah.
But all the drawings are done by me, yeah.
So is that the way you always want it to be? In other words, you know, if you really wanted to scale it up, your time is not infinite either, right? So, but would you always want it to be you because that's what the business is, or do you ever think about that?
I think expansion is always on the cards for sure. In how that can happen is still to come, I suppose. But it's always going to be like, you know, my drawings and the, you know, that sort of that personal touch is going to be so important to the business, yeah.
And have you worked with local enterprise office much?
I started my business with the enterprise board, and I was just last year, or the year before last, I was at the Women's Enterprise event in Lochhurst Castle, and it was actually at that networking event that I met somebody who then, it in turn helped me find my shop itself.
Wow, that's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, so the networking is so powerful.
And I'm so delighted you gave an example of what networking is, because I think sometimes people outside of the business world, they hear networking and they go, well, what exactly? But you've explained it.
Yeah.
And I think that the Milk Up Muse, that's a nice space, actually, isn't it?
It's stunning. It's like a listed building right in the heart of Donegal town. And it's just so many beautiful shops in there. And
they've built a lovely big car park for you as well.
Yep, just for us. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, continued success. If people want to find out more about the work that you do, Jerusha, where do you, what's your preferred social media?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook. It's Jerusha Marley. And my website is also www.jerushamarley.com.
Brilliant. Lovely story. Continued success.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for helping us sort of understand the importance of networking and engaging with the local enterprise office. Lovely speaking to
Thank you.
Okay, so check out Jerusha Marley on Facebook and Instagram for more. Right, we've a really great panel joining us for a chat after these messages. Stay there.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 Til Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Refresh your space for summer with Foy's of Ballybuffet in Letterkenny. Whether you're looking to refresh your home or transform your business, Foy's experts are here to help you every step of the way with free interior design and paint colour consultations. From wallpapers to curtains, blinds to lighting and accessories to furniture styling. We've got it all. Ask about our defective block support scheme. Foy's of Ballybuffet in Letterkenny, the largest paint and wallpaper stockists in the Northwest.
Enhanced TFI Local Link Route 966 and Falcarra to Anclohanlia now operates 4 daily return services Monday to Saturday and 3 daily return services on Sunday. The route provides peak time and evening services and improved connectivity to ferry services, Erfurt Dunanal and regional bus services. We're Transport for Ireland, we're transport for you. See locallinkdsl.ie. Brought to you as part of the Connecting Ireland Rural Mobility Plan.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhalla House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahouse.ie or check out Drumhalla House on Instagram for more details.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is 9 minutes past 11. Welcome back to the 9 Till Noon Show. Now I'm joined by two guests here. They are Caroline Faulkner and Edward McDade of Football Special. Caroline has enjoyed a distinguished and multifaceted 35-year career in Fortune 50 companies globally. Both of you, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Caroline, do you get much pleasure, I'm sure you do, from events like this, right? Because you've been there, done that, so you're bringing a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. But also, do you like to engage with other people at different stages of their business development?
It's actually one of my favourite parts of it, Greg, is actually walking around today and looking at all of the local businesses and their stalls and all of their products, etc. And it's wonderful to see these businesses at different stages. Some at startup, some are trying to grow their business, some are trying to scale internationally. So I really love engaging with businesses, and no matter what size the business is, a lot of the problems are the same and maybe just have to be tackled in different ways. So yes, I very much enjoy engaging with all the people here.
Given the success that you've had, Caroline, you must often be asked, what's your one tip in business? You must have an answer for that at this stage.
Well, I'll tell you where my passion really lies, and I do think it is the secret sauce, and that is actually in the people. And I think it's really about, first of all, getting the right people within your business, but also empowering them and giving them the right level of training and runway to be able to do their best work for you. So human potential is a huge passion of mine. So I do think that's where the real difference maker are for businesses.
A lot of the businesses that work with Leo are, from 1 to 50, okay? Mm-hmm. And many of them might be content where they are, but they want to grow. In this day and age, with the advancements we're seeing in terms of AI and the different ways in which you can reach people, is it a time of greater opportunity or greater challenge in sort of finding your space in the business world?
I think it's a greater opportunity. I think AI can be off-putting to people, but it is a tool that can be very effective, and I do think it has to be embraced alongside both your product and service offerings and indeed your staff and how you really engage with customers. But AI, I would see as a tool to be embraced, but not to replace, indeed, how business operates with human beings.
There's great demands on your time to speak at events like this. Why do you accept the invitation to this one?
Well, because I'm born and bred in Donegal. I think today's theme is Made in Donegal, and it's very important to me to be able to give back in any which way I can, particularly within the county in which I was born and raised, and I spent a lot of time in Letterkenny during the 16 years during the Primerica days, and so it's just wonderful to be back amongst the local enterprise and really meeting people in person and having good, strong dialogue about things for the future.
We're speaking during, International Women in Sports Week, and also tomorrow International Women's Day, as a woman that's operated in what many would have seen traditionally as a male-heavy sort of space. What are your reflections on the journey over the 35 years and maybe where we're at now?
Yeah, I found, honestly, I picked a very male-orientated career, and when I started my career, I was in computer science, and so there was very, very few women in that field. And, it was sort of difficult sometimes to have your voice heard. And I think really what I think it's about is putting your game on the field. It's really about learning and getting good at your craft, building your experience, and then being able to have a multiplier effect with that. And I think that has been really big part of my journey. Also, I think like any job, regardless of gender, it just takes resilience and it takes the ability to fail, skin your knees and get back up. And I think that's the important thing, not to be put off when things go wrong, as they invariably will do.
Yes, sitting beside Caroline is Edward McDade of Football Special, the one company that has been in the family for a very long time. I don't know how many recessions you've been through, how many highs and lows, Brexit, not Brexit, this, that and the other. There's not an awful lot you could be taught about keeping a business successful, I would say, Edward.
Oh no, there's a lot to learn about business. No. It keeps surprising me every day of the week. I'm listening even to like a Caroline and the sort of career, and she mentions AI, AI was something I thought, the agricultural community did. I'm not quite familiar with all of the rest of it. So no, you got a bit like Caroline said about the people. If you have the right people with you, I think, and that's so important. That will drive you forward. I think that's what keeps the succession bit going, and that's, to me, that's the most important part of it.
We never really know where life is going to take us, do we? I mean, you began your career as an investment banker based in Dublin, right? So the bright lights of the city, sky's the limit wherever you could end up. Your father very sadly passed away. Was it a big decision to return back home to steer the ship?
Yeah, well, I didn't start my career in investment banking. I started my career
These
washing.
Notes are going in the bin.
I started my career washing bottles by hand.
Well, I didn't count that. That's not work. That was for family.
My playground was the factory.
Yeah.
I've been working since the age of about 4 or 5.
I can imagine,
that kind of thing. So it's very much ingrained in you. But yeah, it was a big decision, yeah. And I mean, it's something, my late father, God rest him, great man, obviously kept the business going very well and all that kind of thing. But succession planning was not really his strength. And while obviously I did inherit the business, until his will was read, I didn't really know if I had. That's just the way matters work out. So you got to make sure if you want the generations to inherit whatever it is you've built, you want to make sure that they know that that's going to happen to them, So,
what would you say a word that would describe your business? Because it's been around for so long and has seen so many changes. I'm sure it's been written off at times. I'm not sure of that, but any business over.
I am sure.
Okay, well, I didn't want to be presumptuous, but is it resilience? Is it drive?
Resilience,
Resilience?
Business is not. It's not a 100-meter dash. It is a marathon. It is a marathon, and that's why you need people with you along the way. That's why you need good people, and you also need to know exactly what your business is about, where it's going. I always go back to there's an old story about Greece, and we often think ancient Greece is nothing to teach us, but if you go any day and manage to get in a strange country, get into a car, you're going to plug in the GPS, and you're using Pythagoras' theorem, of triangulation to get there. And one of the things from the old Greek temples was, know thyself. So you really need to know what it is your business is about, and you've got to really make sure that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And the next generation then have to interpret that differently, and they will interpret it differently as they have to, because it's very much a digital world as well nowadays.
I beg your pardon, Edward. It is indeed. And Caroline, we heard from Edward about business resilience, and I think a big thing we need to ensure, I think, as we educate the next generation of business people or workers, is actually individual resilience, because I speak to a lot of people in business, and they do be a little bit concerned about how prepared our youth are for the cut and thrust of what can be, really tough stuff.
It really is. And I honestly think when you mentioned AI, the thing that I'm very passionate about now, and sort of a big focus of my next stage of my career, is unlocking that human potential. And within that it's all of that sort of situation is building resilience, allowing people to really understand how they can actually really tap into their most inane qualities, and not to be put off by all of the moving parts and all of the environmental issues that are outside of them, and to truly allow them to use their capabilities and their strengths to their best potential. So yes, resilience is a huge component of that.
We are also joined by Willie MacArthur, who's going to be part of the 3-person panel. Willie is former Managing Director of Fruit of the Loom and former Chair of the International Fund for Ireland. Willie, thank you so much for your time.
Good morning, and nice to be with you.
It's good to be with you. Obviously you played a pivotal role in the success of Fruit of the Loom in Ireland, and lots of lessons to be to sort of pass on, I suppose, to people now in the world of businesses. What works, what strategies work, what issues one has to overcome.
Yes, when I think about it, there are quite a few lessons. One of them is that people in this part of the world I think Caroline was using the word resilience there. People are very resilient and able to step up to the plate. We had a family company of about 450 people in the early 80s. Times were very tough indeed, very rapid cost inflation, not the same development on prices, so we're squeezed very badly. And we developed a strategy which was reach out to the United States to find a joint venture partner. And we developed a strategy to do that, where my middle brother uprooted himself for a year to go to North Carolina, where he had already been when he worked for DuPont. And that strategy worked because we reckoned that because we're so near Northern Ireland, people would be very reluctant to come to this area, but by reaching out, by him putting down roots in North Carolina, we got lucky, and Fruit of the Loom decided that, as they called it in their own Kentucky fashion, people had a good work ethic in this part of the world. And so it turned out that we built a business of 3,000 people, 6 plants in Donegal, 2 in Derry, and only with the yarn mill in Derry did we have any resident Americans, and only that for a year. So my message is, people in this part of the world, if they think carefully about things and are determined to do it, they can do it.
Brilliant. And as a business consultant now, everyone's different, all businesses are different, but there's a commonality too, right? You probably go in and spot something that you see regularly. Is there something that springs to mind, if I put it to you like that? Like that, what is the most common space a business needs to work on?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm just sort of, as a business consultant, when you go in and consult with people, what area do they generally need most help with?
I find that quite difficult to answer.
That's
really.
Okay. I'm not sure if that means it's a good or a bad question, so we draw a line under it. Actually, as it turns out, we must move on. Willie, thank you so very much indeed. Willie McCarter is going to be joining Edward McDade and Carol Faulkner, and it's going to be a fantastic panel with Ciara asking the questions. That's coming up between 12 and 3. I would love to be able to stick around for that. But Willie, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And also Caroline, thank you very much. And also Edward McDade. You are tuned to the Nine Til Noon Show here in Highland Radio. We are broadcasting live from the Mount Errigal Hotel. There's a second panel speaking between 12 and 3 here, and it contains quite literally sporting legends here from County Donegal, and I'm looking forward to chatting to them after we take a break.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 Til Noon Show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Your favorite playlist. A long open road trip. Great on their own, but combined, a perfect complement to one another. Just like Audi hybrid models. One part epic efficient electric power, the other legendary Audi engine performance. This is a pairing that's all in one, twice as good. This is Audi. Vorsprung durch Technik.
Ah, that's the sound of Caller, of cosy movie nights in, shove over, of the post-match get the cold out of your showers, a fry-up on a Sunday morning. It's the sound of homes running on easy, efficient energy. And right now, homes not on the gas network can get a free boiler by switching from oil to Caller gas for their home energy and heating. So every day sounds a little more like this. Nice and toasty in here. Caller, the energy that connects us. Terms and conditions apply. See calorgas.ie for details.
Discover the ultimate escape at the Spa at Orchids, the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran, nominated for Spa Experience of the Year 2024 by the Irish Hotel Awards. Indulge in an oriental bamboo massage, reflexology, or choose from our signature therapies, skin glowing facials and invigorating body treatments. Couples can unwind together in twin treatment rooms or share a peaceful moment in the secret garden with outdoor hot tub. The Spa at Orchids, open daily. To buy a gift voucher or reserve your appointment, visit holyroodhotel.com.
Thinking of changing your floors? Why not see what Florid Letterkenny has to offer? Florid have a large selection of solid, semi-solid and laminate click vinyl wood flooring, together with a fantastic choice of parquet, herringbone flooring, all at incredible value. Don't delay. Call Florid today on 087 161 7008.
9 Till Noon live from the Made in Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 Till Noon Show. So, as we mentioned, there's two panels speaking today. We just heard from the business panel, and there's an amazing sporting panel as well. Joe Barr, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
It's great
Thank
to
you
have
for
you with
having me.
us. Patsy McGonigal, also with us. How are you, Patsy?
Morning, Greg.
And Jim McGuinness, the Donegal manager. Jim, thanks so much indeed.
Morning,
great to
Greg.
chat to you. Joe, we've been talking about it a little earlier on. It's obvious really when you think about it. Sort of, the work ethic, the commitment that you require to be as successful and accomplished in a sport. These are transferable skills to business, clearly.
Absolutely. I think that one of the things that sometimes gets misunderstood, that because when someone looks at the sport that I'm involved in, they automatically think it's a solo sport. And that couldn't be further from the truth. We have quite a robust team that all contribute to the whole thing. So, it's very, very much like business and life, where, all of the team, all of the time. We always say the first thing that they to ask yourself is what I'm doing right now, moving the bike forward. And if it's not, I need to stop. And that's really the ethic that we work from.
But you have to be incredibly motivated as an individual to achieve what you have achieved over the years. What is the trait that you have, do you think, that's enabled you to do that? Is it stubbornness? Commitment?
I think it over the years it has evolved. I'm very, very fortunate to have what I call two careers. My first career in professional mainstream racing ended and whatever, but when I got into endurance racing or ultra distance racing, it was at that point that I realized that I had so many skill sets that I didn't understand or know about until that point, and I felt it was a great opportunity for me to try and explore each one of those pillars to see exactly where the limit was. So again, you're told in normal life, age and all these other things are all, things that are hurdles. So we've tried to figure out how we can overcome all of those hurdles.
And also your own mental discipline. How important has that been to your success, to be able to stay in the space that you need to be in to achieve what you've achieved?
It's very, very important. To be honest with you, the physical aspect of it is the smaller part of the big picture. And I was unfortunate but fortunate. A health situation with my son actually introduced me to the understanding of how to actually work with my mind and how to overcome the hurdles that I was creating more than the hurdles that were actually there. And that was a great insight, and I spent 3 years working intensively on that, and all I did then was I took that from, let's call it a hospital environment, and I took that and I applied it to sport.
In so much of your life, you've been in control, and you're in control, and you have to be in control. Was that situation more difficult because it was outside of your control, and there was only certain elements maybe that you could influence?
Absolutely, and we work sort of from the 2% theory. So I try very hard to move the small things every day forward, as opposed to try to make big things happen. So, and I'm also in it for the long haul. I'm not expecting things to shift in a week. I'm looking for them to shift over time. And I also do trial and error. I will actually apply a system. I'll take it out and I'll try it. And if it works, it does, and if it doesn't, it doesn't, and I come back and I go back to the drawing board and I start again. But it's all about small shifts a lot, and if you look at something like, and I'll give you the example of the race across America, which is the pinnacle of really the type of sport that I'm doing, where you're asked to perform for 12 days non-stop. The mental challenges that come in that period of time change drastically, and one of the biggest impacts to that is how sleep deprivation impacts your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is you get introduced to this world of understanding how your mind actually functions and how you can have a negotiation with it as opposed to allowing it to determine the outcome. So there's it's been an incredible journey, and truthfully every day that I go out, and hopefully there'll be another year of that ahead, there isn't one day that I don't learn something new about it all.
Amazing. And these are transferable skills into the world of the business. Clearly, Patsy McGonigal, I mean, it's hard to quantify what you've achieved in that you were right there at the beginning as seeing something that could be made, working with others to make it, engaging with the people, and then creating these amazing athletes. I mean, you've been there from the inception to now. It's really quite remarkable. And if not mistaken, our own Mark English finished second in the 800 metres heats in Holland at the European Indoor Championship. Your fingerprints all over that achievement as well. So well done to Mark. But it's been a remarkable journey for you.
Yes, indeed it was, and it's like everything else.
And if you could give me a Mark English soundbite for Oisin Kelly, I think he'd be very appreciative as well.
No, Mark gave me nervous moments this morning, now, in fairness, but he got there in the end up. But just to say that, what was I going to say now? No, I got an opportunity, obviously, to get involved in athletics at boarding school, and then just basically took the opportunity and ran with it all my life and brought it back home, as they say, and lucky enough to be in an environment, both on education and different places in life, to learn, and then brought it back to my own community. Obviously, like I had to start with kids, and then it's a long journey from starting with children right to get people to the Olympic Games. And I have been lucky in the last couple of Olympic Games that I've had athletes there. You know, that's encouraging to see that pathway develop.
But it's a remarkable achievement to because if in the absence of what you developed, we wouldn't be having these moments, and these people wouldn't be reaching the pinnacle of what they're doing. It's unbelievable. Did you have to? Was it hard to convince people of what was possible?
Well, that's a long story. You know, I mean, basically you've got to get the people involved, and it's as basic as getting people involved. Get into the schools, get numbers. Out of the numbers, you're going to get a percentage, whatever it may be, and then work on a percentage that stays with you and has got the attitude and takes responsibility. And look, it's like a jigsaw. So many things have got to be right, and you work it through. And it's really, you know, there's plans surely, and there's great words, and there's great psychology, and you could throw it all out there. But the idea is you just got to build on it, day on day, and it is a daily exercise. So if you've got a good athlete, you've got to build on that athlete every single day. And you know, they talk now about, you know, all sports about the commitment to training, but you know, our 16, 17-year-olds are actually taking training on board, taking attitude to training on board nearly 7 days a week, you know. Mm-hmm. And I try to explain sometimes when I go to schools, you know, about being into things like training camps and about the daily life of an athlete on a training camp. And to a normal person, it sounds so boring, because you're up, you get the breakfast, you train, you come back, you get something to eat, you sleep, you go back out and you train again, and then you sit around and you chat for a while, and these are all adults, and that happens for weeks and weeks, and everybody is happy, everybody is on top of the world, the attitude is good, and when you talk about that background of that world, they'll think, Lord, that sounds terribly boring, but there's nobody boring there. So it's all an attitude of mind, and you know, coming through from what Joe's saying, you know, the mental approach, the mental attitude, how you take it on board, that's it all. But it's a build, going back to what you're saying, Greg, it's all about building on it day by day, mm-hmm. And it's getting supports in there, you know. And we're here for a business conference, and, you know, made in Donegal, and quite honestly, you know, the parallel, and I've said this so many years ago, the parallel between business and sport is is a complete parallel, because everything that you do and leading a team or being in charge of a team, whether it's kids at Finn Valley or whether it's Irish Olympic team or whether it's World Championships or a business, whether it's a small business or a large business, the relativity is very much the same, because at the end of the day, it's all about people. It's about the people you have with you. If you haven't got the right people with you, then you've got extra responsibilities, you've got extra pressures. So it's all about building a team, and that's business. And it's all about business, and it's all about your reaction with the people. It's all about your reaction with the community. It's all about your reaction with all of those things. So that's business. That's business. That's sport, and that's our operating opportunity today in this environment today that we're in today. It's business and sport. And that's the link. A serious link.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's also inspirational. I'm sitting here feeling inspired even just listening. And we haven't even got to Jim McGuinness yet. Jim, good morning to you. It's great to, it's great to have you. It's great to have you back as the boss of Donegal as well, of course. We're enjoying the journey week in and week out, it seems. I think you have a reputation of being a big thinker, if you know what I mean, like in terms of the sports psychology and working with people and developing the potential of each individual. Is that part of who you are? Is that how you see yourself?
Well, thanks for having us, and obviously the local enterprise board as well for having us. It's great to be here this morning, and with such guests to my left here as well, and getting their insights. It's always lovely to rub shoulders and talk to people that are in the same space, so it's great to be here. I don't know about a big thinker, but I do think a lot, a hell of a lot. Probably every waking hour is on football in some shape or form, and again, to Patsy's comment, that might be boring for a lot of people, but certainly not for myself. Very fortunate to be in, I suppose, in a situation where sport has been such a big part of my life. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted it to be. And to experience that now with Donegal again is amazing. The professional aspects that I also experienced were great, and the training camps that Patsy's talking about, where, really you're in a bubble. You're in a bubble from reality in many respects, from the outside world, from work. You're there, you're talking strategy, you're trying to understand people, develop people, grow them, develop a game plan, grow the game plan, and I suppose following on from Patsy's comments as well about the business aspect of it, that is very much it. You go in, a CEO will go in with a vision, but a vision's one thing, bringing that to life is another thing, and the people that are in the organisation are going to make that happen. And if they don't believe in the leader or the CEO, it's not going to happen. And I think that's a very important part of it.
Is it easy for you to identify, right? And this is no criticism of anyone that went before you, but you're working with a set of players, at least for a certain time, that were very similar to a set of players that weren't enjoying success as they went on to under you in a very short space of time. What can you change in that short space of time to get so much out of to get what appears to be so much more out of a group of players?
Well, I think the first thing is to understand them. I think that's the first thing, and I think this group is very different to the last group in many respects because of the environment that they've grown up in. Technology is a huge part of their life, and they're very cerebral. They need to understand things. They need to have the data. When I qualified in psychology and I finished in John Moores the following day, I started working in Limavady, lecturing in psychology and coaching. And that was a fantastic experience in terms of the theoretical part, but I also started working with teams. And within that first sort of 18 months to 2 years, I was actually working with 23 teams. So I was here a night and there a night and here a night, and a lot of them Gaelic teams, a lot of them not, some athletes. And but it was really interesting because I very quickly, and I spent my whole life in dressing rooms, but I very quickly got to understand, as soon as I almost went in the door, who was who in the room. And I think that's very, very important to understand that. You'll see the people, you know, the 1/3 rule that I call it, the 1/3 that are highly, highly motivated. They're staring you in the eyes, whether you're looking at them or not. They're picking up every single detail. The people that are like, who's this guy? Is this guy going to help me or benefit me? You know, I could be doing other things. I want to be outside kicking points, you know. And the middle group for me is the most important group, because they're the people that can actually influence the dynamic of the overall organisation. And if you can move that middle group to the higher level group, who are self-sufficient anyway, normally the bottom group follow that, and then all of a sudden you move from average into a higher level, and then you're in a position then where you can start pushing buttons to move further and further. And that's
almost like a game of chess as well, in that, say for instance, you know, Michael Murphy coming back into the team, and I'm not going to dig into the ins and outs of that, Oisín and the likes can do it right, but you know, a lot of the conversation is, where will he play, how influential he is catching that. But as being the thinker that you are, I presume when you try and persuade him back in, there's many aspects to his presence that you're looking at. Maybe there's just a piece missing in the top left corner that's got nothing to do with where he's going to play, that you think, right, maybe that's just the 0.025% that could be the difference deep into the championship.
Yeah, well, I think with Michael, if we're speaking about Michael, obviously what he can do as a football player, you know, has probably been unparalleled in Donegal. But the most important thing with Michael is what he adds to the culture, and what he adds to the value of the group, how he carries himself, how he trains, how focused he is. I haven't really experienced anybody with a more laser-like focus. How he eats, how he rests, how he recovers, how he passes on information, how he takes information, and all of the younger players are looking at that, they're watching at that, they're understanding that, they're understanding this is the way this guy operates and works. And I think that is a huge bonus to the group before we even get into the fact that he can make such a difference on the pitch, you know.
Okay.
And that's what you want. You want those people with the most influence being your most important people, because it can be the other way sometimes as well. You know, your best player sometimes is not the best fit for the culture, and that can be a real challenge for a manager.
A person that really impressed me as an observer was Patrick McBurty, who defended that team to the hilt long before you came back, and stood up to some interviewers on the pitch for that team. And then now to still be there and to be so influential as a person, I think he must be amazing.
No, definitely. And Paddy,
because it would have been easy to put your hands up, but he wasn't having it, you know, back under, you know, when Donegal was at low ebb.
No, when Donegal were at low ebb, that's when Patrick basically came knocking, you know, and spent a couple hours down in the house with myself to try and convince me to go back. That was the start of the process, and was pretty relentless in his, you know, in his activities after that, you know, between phone calls and calling to the house and everything else. So yeah, obviously he understood that, having been there before and all the experiences and success that he had, he understood that this was a moment. And he was going to try and, you know, I suppose find the best way out of that difficult situation. And so Patrick was very, very influential in that period, for sure.
Really impressive guy. As I don't know him just as an observer. Do we want to finish in the top two of the league? Do we try and avoid that? I'm not sure the Irish News can ask you that question. I can, because I don't know anything about sport, right? Do we want to finish in the top two of the league?
Are you sure about that? No.
I don't even know if it's a good question.
No, listen, we've worked really hard, and we've worked really hard off the pitch as well. We were in a position where we could get away for a training camp, probably out of the blocks, when we were allowed to go, and that kind of set us up for the start of the league, and we got points on the board, and that's what we wanted to do, because obviously there's so much change is still happening. There's talk about change today as well, again, in terms of the rules, so we're all still learning. So it was very important for us to try and get everybody together as quickly as possible to get points on the board. We've done that, so we've earned the right, you know, to look at everything and do what's right for ourselves, you know. What I will say is, you know, regardless what we do in the next two games, we'll be going out to win those games. We'll be going out to bring everything we have to those games. We have players that have played a lot. We have players that need to play. Or McFadden Ferry, for example, coming back in, Niall O'Donnell coming back in. There's a lot of players like that fit that category. And what we want to do is use the next two games to keep pushing all of our players forward, but also to bring as many players as possible to the boil for the championship game. That was our start point before we kicked the ball at all in the league, and that won't change. And if we win those games in the process, then we're in the league final. That's so be it. And if we don't, we'll be focused on Derry in 5 weeks.
Exactly, because we're going to need depth, aren't we? And preparedness physically and mentally deep into the championship. Fingers crossed.
Well, I think the one thing maybe from last year that, the learning was, that we needed a bit more depth and,
Wee bit tired against Galway, maybe it felt. Is that right?
Well, we had fellas now, Owen McGettigan, Owen McFadden Ferry, Owen McHugh, Michael Murphy, a lot of players like that have come back in this year that had previously played championship football.
Yeah.
It's one thing trying to develop younger players, but, there's nothing that beats the fella that's been there and done that. And so we have that now with the fellas that have come back in, and we're looking to continue to develop the players that we have.
I mean, what three, legend, we can use the word here, it's perfectly fine, and we've spoke to business legends. I mean, they've got some amazing people here. I would like Joe Barr, Patsy McGonigal, Jim McGuinness to get around a table somewhere and me just sit listening because, the insights and what you have achieved and how you can motivate people. We're so blessed. It really is astonishing that the amount of what we produce out of this county. Jim, thank you so much. Thanks for all the great Sundays and Saturdays. And Patsy, thank you for everything. And I don't think we've spoken before, Joe. It's been lovely to speak to you. And I don't know why you want to cycle America, but I trust you know what to do, so that's fine. It's a remarkable, it just takes a remarkable type of person. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, we'll be back with more from the Mount Errigal Hotel after we take this break.
The 9 Til Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Walk the line with the award-winning Johnny Cash and June Carter tribute show Cash Returns, live at the Strual Arts Centre, Omagh on Saturday 8th of March. Limited tickets on sale at the box office. That's Cash Returns at the Strual Arts Centre, Omagh on Saturday 8th of March.
Are you on the hunt for a reliable car that offers exceptional value for money? At iMotors, we have a huge range of 2024 nearly new Nissan models available. Whether it's petrol, hybrid or fully electric, Nissan has a 2024 model that suits your lifestyle. All our nearly new Nissans come with low mileage and are prepared by our expert team. Visit us today at imotors.ie to find out more.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Get the right tools or equipment to get any job sorted with the great weekend deal at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. Hire any tools or equipment on a Friday for 1 day and they're yours to use until Monday. 3 days hire for the price of one at Watson Hire every weekend. Get the job done and dusted with this great weekend hire deal at Watson Hire Lisnain in Letterkenny. Call 9167777 or see watsonhire.ie.
Anger over states' re-wetting plans intensifies. In this week's Irish Farmers Journal, we look at why farmers are furious over peatland proposals. GAA seeks farmland nationwide for solar farms. Agricultural tax reliefs are back in the spotlight. Department set to clamp down on map acres. Find what price you'll need for grass cattle to break even this autumn. Latest on the ICBF Pedigree Society's row inside our special suckler focus. And why planning permission can be harder to get on land with road frontage. All inside this week's Irish Farmers Journal.
9 Til Noon live from the Maiden Donegal Business Summit and Showcase, bringing together some of Donegal's brightest minds from the worlds of sport and business and celebrating the county's great artisan food and craft industries.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Discover trending new styles each week in fashion, footwear, accessories, homeware and more. Visit us to explore the latest arrivals in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Okay, let's have a look at that weather forecast, and one of these days I'll have it written in front of me. Mostly cloudy with light outbreaks of rain this morning. Showery rain will develop later in the evening. Highest temperatures of 10 to 13 degrees in light to moderate east to south east breezes. Now, as you would know, all this week in association with the Donegal Sports Partnership, as part of Women in Sport Week 2025, we're looking at different roles women play in sport. And this morning we talked to Teresa Doonan, who's manager coach with Convoy Arsenal and is also on the female leadership program. Ladies soccer, it's gone through quite evolution over, it seems, a short time, but it hasn't been, because people have been battering away in the background for years, not least the likes of yourself, Teresa.
It has indeed, Greg. First of all, thank you very much for having me on. I'm with Convoy Arsenal, and we really only got up and going 2023 in January, where I moved from another club because we had moved to the area, and I also have 3 daughters playing football. They're in the local school and so on. So now we have girls from age under 8 right the way up to under 16.
Which is fantastic.
It's absolutely fantastic. It's good.
So you move back here with your daughters, and if there's nowhere to play, you just create a team. It's that simple.
Well, it didn't really work. It didn't really work like that. When we moved back, we moved to Letterkenny.
Yeah.
I was originally from Raphoe, so the first choice was going to be Raphoe Football Club. We moved then to Convoy, and that's where we're staying. We're not moving again. And the girls just started the school there, and that's the way it happened. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you started coaching. You were involved with Maynooth, but did you start coaching, or is it the qualifications that you sort of you acquired when you moved back up home?
No, well, when we were living in Maynooth, Amy, my oldest girl now, she was only 5 at the time. She showed a great interest in football from that very early age. Once we moved into Donegal, I had started actually getting really involved in it through Donegal Sports Partnership. Maggie here really encouraged me and was a great support network to me. I started doing my FAI coaching, my PDP 1s, 2s, 3s and so on, doing lots of different things involved in football. Even the summer there through the FAI I did disability in sport, vision awareness in sport, because my role as a job, I'm a special needs assistant and now currently working with children with severe intellectual disabilities. So mixing all that in with the football, I did a lot of work with Trevor Scanlon in the FAI, and himself, Shane Barr and Brian Dorian are really pushing the female game, coaching females and so on. And it's good having a female coach involved in clubs, because although the tactics are very important, there's other things to be included as well, as how their menstrual cycle and so on affects the ability in sport, and how to prevent injuries and so on. And it's through doing courses, workshops. Even 2 years ago I did a women's conference, and Vera Powell and Eileen Gleeson spoke to me from the stage when I was just getting Convoy Arsenal girls football up and running, and gave lots of very important advice and information to help me along my way.
Yeah, for sure. And wherever you've gone, you've always found yourself involved in football, really. That's just the way it is, such is your passion for it. And in creating something and attracting young girls into it, does it help when the national team, for an example, is being successful, or when the European Championships are on, or if a World Cup is on, when there is that exposure, can you sort of track an increase in interest even at a local level?
It does. But also even like locally from club level now to the Donegal Women's League, that can inspire girls, and going on from there to like Finn Harps and the National League. There is definitely a player progression, which probably a number of years ago there wasn't. That builds inspiration for the girls to have role models and to be seeing where they could actually end up, sticking at the football. But it's more for me as well, the coaching and the tactics and all that. Like I have a great man works alongside me, Johnny Doherty, shout out, who has been a real support system for me all along with this Convoy Arsenal football. But for me, it's deeper than that. It's about building girls' confidence. Even the stronger players in the team, we currently have 6 girls that are now playing for Donegal Women's League at different levels, which there wasn't 2 years ago.
Yeah,
incredible.
From nothing to 6. It's
but also for me, it's more than that. It's about the less abled, or all abilities. So as there's always going to be something,
an individual achieving
their
most
own
that they
potential.
can.
Their own potential is so important.
Of the women involved in sport this week that I've spoken to that are mums, particularly mums of girls, their daughters have been an inspiration. Is that the same for you? I mean, obviously you've been inspired your whole life, right? But has that been a particular motivation to give opportunities, or to you can be it if you can see it, sort of a thing?
A massive part to play. Like I'm involved in the wee youth choir and so many different levels. It's about being a role model and showing the girls that if you want something, no matter how able you are at doing it, keep driving forward. Like, you're going to meet negativity along the way, and it's building resilience and showing them that even when you come across a problem or somebody, you know, tries to drag you down, one foot in front of the other, head up and drive on and be the best that you can be.
And the one thing I've noticed as a parent myself is you might not get the credit for it, but you do see your influence on your children, even if they don't want to say, you know, mom's cool, I want to do that. Your kids probably don't mind, are boys. But you know what I mean? But then you do see the influence. So I presume they're going to seek out leadership roles themselves. They're going to seek out participation. Fingers crossed, but you're giving them every opportunity to do so. Maggie, how are you getting on? It's good to have you in front of the microphone.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Keeping? Maggie Farrelly's been keeping us in check all week and been lining up these guests. I think it's really important to have weeks like this where we recognise women's role in sport. But what we try and do in this programme is not do it once a week or 1 week in the year, you know, in terms of contribution from news, features, sport. It's to try and get us a representation of our community as we possibly can. But this has been a really enjoyable week, Maggie. I should say Maggie's education and training coordinator with the Donegal Sports Partnership. And you're lucky in that, I suppose, when you're trying to line guests up to speak, that you have such a wealth of powerful women in leadership roles right across sport in our county.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. And I suppose it's just been out and about and you're meeting different people. Like Teresa's one of the ladies that's part of the female leadership programme that we started back in January. You know, we've got 10 ladies in that, all age groups. Again, we've got a girl who's only 16 years of age. She's still at school, to the girls who are a little bit older and a little bit more mature. And it's great to see that diversity within the group. And like that, then we have, I think, I've volunteered them more so than anything else to be here, like Teresa. But they also have taken up the mantle now this week in terms of organising and running events for women in sport within their sport and sports sector. And in fairness to you, Greg, you've been mentioning those events all week. So the girls in Chloe and Kathleen, who's also part of the female leadership programme, they started off with their ATU sessions, and that was massively successful on Wednesday afternoon with 28 different participants.
Oh, was there 28?
Yeah,
really? I didn't expect that many to take. You know, with people are busy and stuff. So that's a fantastic turnout, I think. Anyway.
Yeah, it was brilliant. And then Oisín was out at Ramullen Pier this morning with the sunrise dip.
Who? Oisín?
Yes.
What was he doing?
He was taking some interviews with some of the participants.
Right, He didn't put on his budgie smugglers.
No. Unfortunately, he said that he was a wee bit cold, so he said he wouldn't do it.
You're naughty, Maggie, but go on anyway.
So Deirdre O'Toole, in fairness, I have massive support within my work, so I have this wouldn't be possible without the support that I get from my colleagues.
Yeah, but Maggie, I know you want to praise other people, but it's clear you're a huge driving force in all of this, and we've spoken to a lot of people all of this week, and I think you're the steady hand on the tiller as well, in terms of motivating people and dragging them into our studio and stuff as well. So I think you deserve a massive round of applause in what you're doing, often behind the scenes as well, and giving people these opportunities, encouragements and platforms. So I think you deserve an awful lot of credit as well, Maggie.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, look, it doesn't happen overnight. You do have to put a wee bit of time and effort into planning these events and getting people on board and whatnot. And working with yourselves over the last number of days has been a great experience for me personally, and is one that I thoroughly enjoyed. But look, Women in Sport Week. It's a week that's dedicated to women in sport. It's driven by Sport Ireland. You know, and its events happen throughout the whole country. So every sports partnership within the country are delivering on this week.
Brilliant. So you heard some great interest in some of the events this week. Tomorrow, as part of Women in Sport Week, there's a yoga and dip. It's at Culdaff Beach at 7:30 in the morning. It's, as I say, yoga and dip. An open water dip's taking place tomorrow as well at Thruppeny Pool in Bundoran at 7:45. And I like this one. It's a bit of a curveball, I think. You can try fly fishing at Mongorry Trout Fishery. Dual Community Anglers, they're running that. That's 12 noon tomorrow and on Sunday. Have you ever thought of riding a horse or horse riding? Well, at Drumdoit Stables, there's sessions at 11 a.m, 12 p.m, 13 p.m, which is 1 o'clock and 2 as well. So get on to the Donegal Sports Partnership, and you can book there through Eventbrite. It's been a pleasure, Maggie, having you in studio all week and introducing some amazing people, you know, from Audrey yesterday, a wonderful woman, to Teresa today. And it's great to hear of what people are doing and to recognise it as well. I should mention that Teresa was the first, or one of the first ever ladies on the first ever Letterkenny Rovers ladies football team. That was last week, was it?
No, it was about 2 years ago. It was more like 30 years ago.
I
Yeah,
know, but
yeah.
anyway, you wouldn't know. Listen, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Really appreciate it. And that's where we have to leave it on the show today. Thank you to everyone who took part in it. Thanks very much to our hosts here, local enterprise office, but also the Mount Errigal Hotel. Terry and his team have looked after us fantastic. Thanks to Caroline Orr, who researched and produced, to Shannon and to Joe, who's helped with the technicals, and there's loads of Anna was here as well. Not quite sure what she did, but anyway, that's fine. And next time we'll get the oil on the door, because it's been squeaking all morning, which normally it's me squeaking. But anyway, that's where we have to leave it. We're back on Monday morning from the studio live from 9 a.m. Stay safe though, and stay tuned, because John Brez